If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
Welcome to a sparkling new podcast from Mike Parry and Mike Graham. We're the Two Mics.
Actually, it sounds even better when you do it Dullsville, because when you try to be happy and excited and energetic, you sound pathetic.
Thanks.
How do you solve a problem like this? Serious question. How do any of us know what a fish is thinking? Mexico!
This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mics, and of course, it's time to say a very, very good evening and very warm welcome to Mr. Mike Porky Parry, who was unfortunately wrong last night about David De Gea, and I was right. Very good morning to you.
What kind of introduction is that to the show?
Well, I'm just pointing out that when I said to you last night, this deal is off, and you said, oh no, this will happen, I think you'll find that I was right and you were wrong.
No. At the time, I was absolutely right.
Were you?
That deal was going to be completed. It was going to go through, and that was true until the early hours of yesterday morning, until 4 or 5 in the morning.
As I predicted, it didn't happen.
No. What?
So you see it a different way, do you?
Oh, yes, absolutely, I do. What happened was that the variance in the necessary requirements of the legislatory laws within football, which could have made it go through, impounded on the very deal itself because of the contractual nature of the clauses, which would
What on earth are you talking about? Well, you just admit you got it wrong.
Which would have facilitated the transfer of De Gea to Real Madrid.
Right. So, in other words, you got it wrong and I got it right.
No, I'm not saying I got it wrong.
Why can't you just be gracious enough to admit that I got it right and you got it wrong?
Because that's not the case, and I'm not having you trying to make out that I'm some kind of numpty who can't see. Yeah, you see, Gordon Hill, a former professional footballer. No.
Yeah, he got it wrong too.
No, he knew where he was coming from as well. The sheer incompetence of the people involved in that deal cannot, in my view, no.
Well, let me try and make it simple for you.
I am not going to
take
this sort of abuse
try and make it simple
because
for
the
you.
facilitators of the deal couldn't get it across the line.
Right.
If I'd have been doing it, I'd have got it across the line.
That wasn't the question, right? Did you or did you not say the deal would go through?
The deal will go through.
Will?
I didn't give you a timescale. The deal will go through.
Oh, what? You mean if it goes through next year, that means you were right?
He will be playing for Real Madrid. Is that true or untrue?
I don't know about that.
No, it's true.
I have no idea. That's not the issue.
It's true.
The issue is that I said it would go through, it wouldn't go through, rather, and you said that it would.
It's all been a bit of a mess, hasn't it?
It's
the
been
end
a
of the
terrible
transfer
mess.
window.
And now they're all daggers drawn. The back pages are covered in stories.
Yes.
With Real Madrid making accusations against Manchester United.
Yes.
And I still think that Manchester United scuppered it deliberately. If you read very carefully,
they didn't.
And I know how you like to forensically analyse statements, right? If you read Manchester United's statement, where it says, we are delighted that David De Gea remains a Manchester United player, does that not tell you that they never wanted him to go?
No, you see, you have no idea, do you, about psychology and all that. If they'd have turned around and said...
That's why I got it right and you got it wrong.
And said, we're very disappointed that David De Gea is not now a Real Madrid player, then, frankly, he's a dead man walking in Old Trafford.
But they could
and
have
he's
said...
not a dead man walking.
They could have said, we're terribly sorry that the deal which everybody wanted to happen somehow didn't happen because of an error in translation.
Well, that's what Real Madrid are saying.
Yeah, but Manchester United are saying they're delighted that he's still at Manchester United.
They have to save face. Because,
I don't think so.
Yes, they do. They have to save face.
Surely that tells you that
Is
they
he going
deliberately...
back into the first team now?
Well, he'll have to, won't he?
Well, will he?
Yeah, of course he will.
Will he?
Well, he's the only reason they're in the top four. That's why they wanted him to stay in the first place.
Well, I heard you say that earlier, but you see, I think you're grasping at straws there.
Well, you're saying that it's not the reason they're in the top four.
So now they dropped the goalkeeper who started the season.
Yeah, they would.
They put him back in the stiffs.
They should, They should, because he's no good. He's no good.
Supposing De Gea's head's in the wrong place.
Yeah, right. Well, we're going to talk to Shaka Hislop about that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't know how a goalkeeper's head is in the wrong place. I mean, his head, generally speaking, is the least important part of a goalkeeper's body,
No,
isn't
it's not. No. It's the most important.
Is
Do you know why?
Why?
Which player on a pitch of 11 men has to concentrate more than any other?
Well, no, but goalkeepers...
The goalkeeper.
No, but goalkeepers...
No.
And Shaka, I'm sure, will back me up on this.
No.
Goalkeepers are famously eccentrics, right?
No.
They are famously a little bit mad.
Well, they might be. They have to be a bit mad with goalkeeper. What I'm saying is a goalkeeper has to keep his eye on the ball for every one of the 90 minutes the game is played, plus the added on time.
Yeah.
Because if a goalkeeper just turns his back, if a goalkeeper loses a moment's concentration, he might see a football literally spinning over his head into the back of the net. And therefore, the concentration factor in a goalkeeper is, I would say, by a factor of 10 greater than any other player on the football pitch.
Not true.
Of course it is.
Not true.
How could you say that?
Well, because the goalkeeper is not involved in play for most of the game,
and
right?
that's why he's got to be extra vigilant on the movement of the ball around the pitch.
No, because if an outfield player somehow loses concentration and somebody just runs past him, or he doesn't see the ball coming towards him, he has many, many more times and many opportunities to mess that up.
Excuse me.
Right.
Explain to me the rash of long-range goals we saw last season. That was
long-range goals.
Yeah, goals.
The rash of them.
Yes.
How many were there?
At least half a dozen.
Half a dozen.
These were goals coming out of the other half of the field.
There was Charlie Adams one.
Yes, that's right.
What else was there?
Wayne Rooney's.
Okay,
yes.
That's two.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's two. It's not a rash.
No.
That's two.
No. There's four more.
Four more. Go on.
Well, I can't name them individually.
You can't name them
because they weren't all in the English Premier League. Some of them were in the Scottish Third Division, but I mean they still happened.
So there were some in the Scottish Third Division.
Yes, there were. Yeah, yes, there were.
Who scored them?
Well, I don't know,
Which
do I?
team?
Because your head can only contain so many facts. I think one of them might have been.
Your head can't contain any facts.
No, anyway, look, what I'm saying is this.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is this. A goalkeeper has to be absolutely vigilant, 90 minutes of the game, and he has to pose a bit like... well, here, I'll give you the pose now.
Pat Jennings.
Yeah, he has to lean forward with his hands in the air.
No, you never see that.
Yes, you do, because he's spreading his body all the time.
Right.
All the time, he's got to look twice the size that he really is to an advancing forward, okay?
All right.
And as he comes out... He goes with his hands, and then he resumes his position. Has he been
watching like videos from the 1950s?
No, don't be ridiculous, you know.
Oh, Buster Crab movies.
Oh, God, I pulled out my headphones here, I'm going to say.
It's another shambles, this.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, you don't understand. You see, I used to be a goalkeeper. I was the goalkeeper for the...
You're a bit short for a goalkeeper, aren't you?
No, well, everybody was short when I was 8. I was the Chester King's
Everybody
School...
was short when you were 8?
Yes. Well, you know what I mean.
Well, some kids are taller than others, though.
No. At 8, you're all about the same size. And I was goalkeeper for the King's School Chester Junior School.
Were you?
In fact, my mother...
What was your record that season?
Pretty good.
How many goals did you let in?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
And my mother actually knitted me a jumper, right, which was the same... What are you laughing at?
Why would you have a knitted jumper?
It was a woolen jumper. Goalkeepers had knitted jumpers in those days. No. In those days,
like an Aaron sweater.
No, you had a polo neck jumper,
right?
Which
your
mum
man
knitted
from Milk
you.
Tray.
No, not even that. Like Bill Brown of the Spurs double-winning team in 1961.
What colour was it? Green?
Well, this is the point, you see. The school colours were blue on one side, dark blue, and green on the other. They were quarterised, a bit like Blackburn Rovers shirts, okay? Right. And my mum actually knitted me one that was the perfect colour of the shirt.
And did you play in a full-size goal?
I don't think they were full size at 8. I don't think they were.
I think when I was playing, we used to play with full size goals.
I'm not sure.
And all you had to do was kick the ball into the top half of the goal, and you would always score.
Yeah, of course you would, because the people at 8 were tiny. That's right, absolutely. But anyway, the point I'm saying is, what it taught me, the years I spent as that goalkeeper, was that you have to concentrate every moment of the game.
Did she knit your gloves as well?
No. Although I did have gloves, funnily enough.
Yeah, well, you would have had gloves. What sort of gloves, though?
Well, I don't know.
You would have had goalkeepers' gloves, I bet, in those days.
Do you know, I don't think they did. I don't think they had goalkeepers' gloves in those days.
Yeah, a pair of mittens, maybe.
Yeah, but it'd be something like, well, not mittens. I mean, they'd have fingers in them, wouldn't they, you idiot? But what I'm saying is, that's what goalkeepers wore in those days.
I know.
I remember Ron Springett in the 1966 Cup final, because I went there with my dad when I was 11. And he advanced out of the goal, right, as Derek Temple was coming in to score the winner. It was 2-2.
How do you remember all these names?
Everton had been 2-0 down, and then it was Mike Trebilco scored 2-2, and then the ball slipped under Jerry Young's foot. He was the centre half.
How can you remember all these people?
Well, because you were there. And Derek Temple came striding away, and Springett went out, and even though he had goalkeeper's gloves on, he spat into each hand.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and then rubbed his hands together. Right, come on, I'll take you on. Temple wasn't intimidated. He lashed the ball past him. Everton won 3-2. But, I mean, that's how goalkeepers acted in those days. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so all I'm saying is that,
we're going to talk to a real goalkeeper, Shaka Hislop. I'm not interested in your views on goalkeeping.
He's a very good goalkeeper as well,
He's
Shaka.
a fantastic goalkeeper.
Brilliant goalkeeper, yeah.
In fact, funnily enough, I was watching when I was over in Mexico. I don't know if I mentioned I was there for a couple of weeks.
Yes. And we all know
they had a Sky over there. I'll tell you what I didn't mention to you yesterday, which I'll tell you in a minute, about what's on Sky TV over there, Sky Sports. But they had a little documentary about Shaka Hislop.
Did they?
And it showed some of his saves. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Interesting.
But we'll talk to him in a little while.
Indeed.
We are the two mics. Andy Murray's just won the first set against Nick
Oh, this
Kyrgios
is brilliant. I'm so glad
the US Open.
So glad this game is on while we're
don't
live
jinx
on air.
it, whatever you do.
No, I'm not jinxing it, but Murray is British hero, and I think he's going to win the US Open.
Murray is British hero. What have you said? He turned into somebody from Japan. Anyway, he's Mike Parry. I'm Mike Graham. We are the two mics. Loads more coming next.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. It is, of course, Ask Porky night tonight. So we've got lots of great questions from Mr. Parry because he's here to help, of course. Remember that. If you've got a quandary, if you've got a personal problem, a financial problem, anything that you need sorting out, send us a question in, please, at the two mics and just hashtag it Ask Porky. You can also tweet it at Mike Parry, at IROMG. The best place to tweet it is at the two mics, or you can text it, of course, to 81089. You were just talking about Andy Murray. He's won the first set 7-5 in the US Open. He's 1-0 up in the second set. What I wanted to say to you about, just before we move off, because I know you won't be too keen on me talking about Mexico all week, but the one thing I forgot to tell you was...
As long as you tell me something positive, not just sitting there drinking margaritas and tequila.
This might make you perk up. One of the things that they show on Sky Sports in Mexico, obviously a lot of football, is, guess what?
What?
Bullfighting.
Bullfighting?
They have bullfighting on Sky Sports in Mexico.
What, it's a sport?
Yeah. Well, because it's been banned in Spain, right? Banned, I think, in Portugal as well. But it's still...
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What? There's no more bullfighting in Spain?
No, they banned it.
How long ago?
A few years ago, I think.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe that.
All the bull rings have been dismembered, or whatever you might call them.
Good God, that's amazing.
Broken down.
We went to...
Well, because it was thought to be too brutal and horrible.
Al and I went to... Mr. Brazil, I'm talking about, and I went to the final of the UEFA Cup when...
was that not in Lisbon?
No, this was in Spain. It's when Celtic played Jose Mourinho's team, Porto. It was the first European trophy
that was
he
in
won.
Seville, wasn't it?
In Seville, absolutely.
I remember that, because I covered it from Scotland.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Right, OK, yeah. Now,
because you know that 9 months after that game was played,
there
was a lot of ginger-headed babies born.
Yes, probably, in
Spain.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
And nobody could work out why.
No, well, you didn't need a big imagination, did you? But what I was going to say was that when we flew in over Seville, it was a phenomenon I've never seen before in my life. The city had turned green and white. Yeah. Literally turned green and white. Because there were so many Celtic fans there, at least 10 times as many as they could get into the football stadium. Yeah. But they'd taken over all the parks in the middle of the city.
Well, they had all these fan zones, didn't they?
Oh, all those fan zones.
It was very funny, actually. Daily Record, right, which was known as the Daily Ranger by a lot of Celtic fans, right? They took a bus all the way across from Glasgow. They drove this bus, the Daily Record fan bus that it was going to be. And as it approached one of these fan zones, the Celtic fans all pelted it with bottles because they didn't want it there.
I know.
And they weren't able to do anything with it.
It was terrible, wasn't it? They thought it was a bias and all that kind of stuff. But no, what I was going to say was, on one morning when we were there, we happened upon a bull ring where a load of drunken Celtic fans were trying to fight baby bulls.
Really?
Yeah, so it must have been going on then.
You don't categorise them as drunken fans, though, do you?
Oh, they were drunk. I mean, they admit they were. They all had kilts on, and they were lifting their kilts up and showing their posteriors to these bulls.
Really?
And challenging the bulls to ram them in the posterior, if you see what I mean, which is dangerous business, really, because if it had happened, they probably would have found themselves in serious physical trouble.
Yeah, right.
But I didn't know it had been banned. I mean, when was that? Was
my understanding
that
is
was 2003, wasn't it? 2002, 2003?
Yeah, I think it's since then. I think it's since it's been banned. I could be wrong, but my understanding was that they'd banned it in certain...
So where in the world does bull...
in Mexico.
Definitely.
Yeah. So they still have... I mean, they have a bull ring in Cancun. Because the last time I was in Cancun, they actually, we went and saw the bull ring. There was nothing going on at the time.
I didn't know it had been banned in Spain. That's an absolutely amazing phenomenon because it's a national sport.
Yeah, well, as I say, I'm going to try and find out if it has been banned. But my understanding was that it was banned, or at least the treatment of the bulls in terms of the way they've been killed was banned. Anyway, something was banned, but we'll get to that later. But I just thought it was extraordinary that on sort of national television, sport includes bullfighting in Mexico.
I think that's extraordinary as well. Yeah. Listen, I was going to tell you, recently we did a show in Newcastle.
Yes.
And we stayed in that really fabulous hotel, I thought. What was it called? Right next to the ground.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
I can't remember.
It was right opposite St James's Park.
Right opposite St James's Park. The Handy or something?
No, it wasn't the Handy.
Sandy. The Sandman. Sandman Hotel.
Yeah.
And on the ground floor was a very trendy Newcastle bar, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Right, OK. Now, if you remember, we saw some people in there in Newcastle shirts that didn't have the Wonga emblem on the front, which is the sponsor for Newcastle.
Well, you pointed out that this shirt was available some weeks ago, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And I got talking to some of the lads there, and they said, no, we start our own shirt now. We don't like the Wonga one.
Yeah.
They don't like it for a number of reasons, because Wonga seems to represent... They think, a sort of an industry which exploits working people and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an allegation. That's not fact or anything like that. But there's always been a bit of a debate about it. But they didn't like it, I think, mainly because Mr. Ashley had introduced it, and there's a bit of a set to it between the fans and Mr. Ashley.
Right.
So they invented their own shirt. And what they did with that shirt, Mike, if you remember, I was telling you, on one side, on the left-hand side, it had a magpie.
Yeah.
Which is, obviously, Newcastle United are called the Magpies because of the black and white. And on the other side, it had... Do you remember when we walked down from that hotel to the theatre, we passed what were the old city walls?
That's right, yeah.
Remember you pointed out this plaque and all that?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but there was actually an illustration of the emblem of the city.
Okay.
Which is a red shield with 3 gold crowns on it, right?
Right.
And that's on the other side of the shirt that the fans invented. Now, the fans put out this shirt as an alternative, and they had an initial run of 500 shirts, and they sold those out on the internet in an hour.
Right.
And then they got a demand for 3,300, which they're in the process of making, until lawyers stepped in, and they can't produce them anymore because, and I didn't know this, by the way, I didn't know this, Newcastle United have claimed ownership of the logo of the Magpie.
Now, that's interesting, because remember when we talked about this the first time around, I said I'd be amazed if Ashley doesn't either take the sort of bull by the horns, if you pardon the bullfighting metaphor, and actually start selling the shirts in Sports Direct, or attempt to stop them from doing so.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult, though, isn't it? I mean, how can he stop them selling them?
Well, presumably now, if they take the magpie off the shirt, they can still sell them, can't they?
I would have thought so.
But I didn't know. How can a football club, literally...
Well, they can own the copyright of the badge, can't they?
Well, yeah, but own the logo of a bird, a magpie bird.
Well, yeah, but it's not just a magpie bird; it's their magpie bird. And the thing about football clubs, and this is where fans often make the mistake. When fans say, the club belongs to us, and the owners are just simply a caretaker and all that kind of thing.
Yes.
Unfortunately, as much as that's a very nice romantic idea, it's not true. Yeah. Whoever owns the club owns everything about it.
The club are trying to, I think they're trying to be like peacemakers, because they issued a statement in which it said the club has engaged with the Magpie brand over a number of weeks in an attempt to find a solution that would work for both sides. We made it very clear from the outset that we would only take legal action as a last resort, which we hope would not be necessary, and this has proven to be the case. We have to protect our commercial rights. I can understand the protecting their commercial rights bit, but I think all these lads have got to do now is just produce another black and white shirt, which is so obviously a Newcastle United shirt. People don't think about Notts County, or is it Exeter?
I mean, presumably as long as they... Notts County, obviously, Juventus, I suppose you might
Juventus,
say.
of course,
Well, as long as it doesn't have Wonga on it, I suppose they'd be happy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, you can't really have the Newcastle United shirt without that.
Anyway, look, that's all about football, because we're talking football. And the Berahino, what's going to happen in the Berahino
Well, I don't understand the story. I mean, he sent out this tweet. I don't know.
No,
I mean, unlike the De Gea situation, which I was fairly certain about last night, which I got correct, obviously.
Yeah.
The Berahino situation is unclear. You said to me the other night about De Gea playing or not playing. Surely could there be some kind of contractual problem there?
Yeah.
I mean, if Berahino is refusing to play for West Bromwich Albion and he's not able to go anywhere, surely he must be in breach of contract, mustn't he?
Well, according to some reports that we're looking at now, which will appear tomorrow morning, he faces a substantial fine from West Bromwich Albion because when he said he would never play again under the chairmanship of Jeremy Peace, he effectively is declaring he's going on strike.
Yeah.
Well, he must be, because Mr. Peace isn't going anywhere.
No, exactly.
He owns the club.
Right.
And,
but isn't there
there's
a slight kind of anomaly with what he says?
Yes.
Is I will never play, and then there's a word missing. Jeremy Peace. I mean, I don't know. I presume he means for. But the word for isn't there.
You know when people get overexcited and their thumbs and fingers and they're putting out tweets and they're angry and all that kind of stuff, they miss words out.
Right.
Happens all the time. It's actually happened to me on an occasion.
You misspell words all the time.
Well, sometimes I do, but you have this predictive text thing.
Yes.
People always blame predictive text.
They do, yeah.
Do you remember our old colleague, Gorgeous George? What's his name?
George Gordon.
The chap who used to work here.
George Galloway.
George Galloway, yeah. Remember once he won...
you have defamed me on national radio.
There, I suit your indefatigability.
Yeah.
That was
his
Saddam Hussein, yeah. Anyway, I'm not making fun of you, George, so don't go running for the laws yet. I was just about to say that when he won a by-election for the, what was the party called? That he
the Respect Party.
The Respect
up
Party.
In Bradford.
He put out a text, and it actually named the wrong town that he just won the seat at. But, of course, it was predictive texting.
Yes, of course,
it wasn't the fact that George made a mistake
or
anything
predictive
like that.
text is a nightmare because for some reason, in my predictive text, I don't know how I probably should try and change it. It comes up with the most ludicrous kind of, combinations of words.
Yeah, but see, I don't
when you're
use
trying to write a
predictive
normal word, well, have you blocked it off now?
No, predictive text is for, half-bakes who
Well, yeah, but
can't
mine's
think for
automatically on the
themselves.
phone. I mean, I could take it off the phone.
Well, take it off then, you
So
idiot.
you've taken it off of you?
Well, I've never been aware of having it.
Oh, right. So when you say that some of your mistakes are due to predictive text, that was a lie then?
Well, no, I meant predictive brain.
Predictive brain?
Yeah, predictive brain.
Okay.
Because sometimes I get carried away and I'm typing something out and then bang, I send it out. And, oh no! On one occasion, for instance, much to my shame, I described the new manager of Everton, Roberto Martinez, as the manager of Manchester City, who was Roberto.
Mancini.
That's right, absolutely. Because you get to Roberto and you get to M for Martinez, you get to A for Martinez, and it's still Mancini, and then bang, and the rest of it went into Mancini.
Oh, dear.
And that was predictive brain syndrome, not predictive text.
Yeah,
you know
well,
what I mean?
can't. I don't think you can do anything about that.
No, you can't.
Now, I've just been checking on the bullfighting scenario, and it has been banned in Catalonia.
Wow.
So the Barcelona region, which would like to be independent from the rest of Spain. So it may be correct that you can still see bullfighting in other parts of Spain. Perhaps
Where's
even
Seville?
in Seville.
Seville's not in
Seville's in the
Catalonia.
south, yeah.
That's right, absolutely.
Yeah, sort of midway between Madrid and Malaga.
I kind of knew I was right. But,
now, speaking of Europe, right, and
yep.
speaking of the amount of money spent, you know how much money was spent in this transfer window by the Premier League? 817.7 million, I should say.
I know, yeah.
And they reckon,
£1 billion.
According to these financial experts that have written pieces in the papers this morning, because of the way the euro has collapsed, right, it could be that £85 million was actually saved by Premier League teams.
Pretty good,
just because of the exchange rate being the way it was.
Pretty good. Talking about Europe, by the way, I noticed coming in tonight in the automobile.
Yeah. The time, by the way.
I've got to tell you something, isn't
Yeah, we'll have to do
fantastic phenomenon has happened near me. No, I noticed, I was listening actually, that the Eurostar is once again not running because people are running through the tunnel.
Are they?
Now, I mean, where's this going to end? Where's this going to end? Where's this going to end, eh?
Oh, it's going to end now because we're going to talk about it in a minute.
Do we not have secure borders, we now have borders that we can't cross ourselves because other people are coming the other way.
Yeah. Well,
bit difficult.
It is a bit difficult. Yeah. Very complicated. Very contentious issue as well. We will talk about that. But coming up next, we're going to talk to Shaka Hislop about how David De Gea and Manchester United can together get his head right so that he can actually play for them. This is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes. I'm just about to. Well, I just have tweeted out your positioning as a goalkeeper, and I've actually tweeted it at Shaka Hislop. So Shaka, who's about to join us now, I'm rather hoping you'll be able to have a look at it and see whether your sort of positioning,
my stance,
your stance is in any way correct for a goalkeeper.
Well, you see, it's all about angles, Mike.
Yeah,
it's all about angles.
Is that right?
Oh, you've got to cut off the angle of delivery for a forward coming towards you by going out, and you remember that every pace you take out from your goal line towards the forward coming in, you cut the angle by 3 degrees. The angle of
not very many
of possibility. No, that's every pace.
Yeah.
So 1 pace, 2 pace, 3 pace, 4 pace. That's 12 degrees.
You've got to go for 30 paces before you cut him off by 90 degrees.
Well, I suppose so. Yeah, but I mean,
by which time you're halfway to the centre circle.
No, not at all. You see, you don't understand, Mike. You never will.
Well, let's talk to Shaka, a man who knows a great deal more about goalkeeping than you and I put together. Shaka, very good morning to you.
Morning, mate.
Morning, Shaka.
I don't know whether you're on Twitter at the moment, Shaka, but I've tweeted you a picture of Mike Parry in his stance because he's been trying to explain exactly how a goalkeeper is the one player on the pitch who must have the most concentration, because we're talking, of course, about David De Gea, who apparently has a problem in his head and can't play for Manchester United, and we're going to ask you how we can fix it.
Well, the trouble is you have to keep count of all your paces and then multiply it by 3 degrees.
Yeah, by which time the ball's got over your head and into the goal.
That's the whole problem right there.
Yeah, Shaka, I don't think you take this too seriously. And no, but Shaka, you understand what I'm saying. The whole idea of a goalkeeper is to cut out, isn't it? Narrow the angles of opportunity to the forward who's advancing upon you.
Yeah.
And if you're a big chap like yourself and you spread your arms, sort of Peter Schmeichel style, then you really are denying him sight of the goal, aren't you?
That's straight out of the FA coaching manual there, Mike.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, well, look how well they've been doing over the years. But seriously, Shaka, what do you make of this whole David De Gea thing? I mean, we've been told that he said to the goalkeeping coach at Manchester United some weeks ago that he didn't want to play for Manchester United. Everybody supposedly thought that he was going to go to Real Madrid. Even Real Madrid and Manchester United thought he was going to go to Real Madrid. Now he's not going. How can they make him play for them?
Well, I mean, it's down to David De Gea at this point. To just buckle down and do the job that's in front of him. The trouble is I don't think he'd be at all emotionally invested at the club. It won't matter to him one way or the other, whether they win or they lose. His head will be elsewhere. He'll be professional about his approach, but don't expect him to be as superhuman as he was last season, simply because he won't have that emotional attachment to Manchester United anymore, and there'll be a huge sense of distrust between David De Gea and Louis van Gaal, given everything that's gone on.
Shaka, I've just said to my broadcasting colleague here, who's not really a very sporty sort of a chap, you know, I've said that a goalkeeper literally has to concentrate on the game with more efficiency than any other player, because
said that.
Yeah, but hang on. What I'm saying is, I'm trying to point out to Shaka, who's a professional, if all the other players just look after their bit of the area, you know, left back and right back and centre forward, you've got to be so aware of the movement across the whole of the pitch for the whole of the 90 minutes, because in this day and age of people striking the ball from over the halfway line, you never know where it's coming from, and it must be very hard to keep that concentration, particularly if you're playing in a team that's dominating the opposition.
Yeah, it is, without question. You know, I'm biased, but of course, it's goalkeepers have to maintain their focus more than anybody else, and that could be a huge concern for David De Gea going forward. But just in terms of his own performances, I wouldn't have any hesitation from purely a performance and an above-average performance from David De Gea. We're professional, and I think that's part of our psyche. Whenever we go out there, we're going to give it everything that we've got. The trouble, I think, with David De Gea is, you know, as I keep saying, you're not going to go that extra yard, or you're not going to go in where it hurts. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not going to be as good as you were last term, simply because you don't share that feeling for the club that you did 4 months ago, and I think that is human nature, and we can try to discount it or discredit it by saying, well, he's playing for his own future, and if he has a good season this time around, it means more money at the back end. Next year when he does join Real Madrid, and he's already being paid so much money right now. But it's human nature when you suffer a body blow as David De Gea has, in feeling that he was going back to his hometown club, Real Madrid, not the club that he started with, but you know, arguably one of the biggest clubs in Europe, if not world football, where he's from Madrid. It's hard to take, and I do sympathise. Another thing I'll also point out is keep in mind that he's also going to be, you know, sitting alongside for the foreseeable future. He's going to be sharing Sunday dinners with another ex-Spanish international, Victor Valdez, who has a similar dislike for Louis van Gaal right now. So that's not going to help. That's not going to help David De Gea's own mindset.
Yeah. So what does Van Gaal do? Does Van Gaal immediately put him into the team based on his performances last season, or does he attempt to do something to improve his state of mind, or does he leave him out? What does he do?
I think he has to wait a little while and see exactly how David De Gea responds to the news of not being in Madrid right now. That is first and foremost. And, you know, a lot of question marks raised about Sergio Romero over the last weekend, understandably, but he'd been solid up until that point. We've now got a couple of weeks to try to figure things out and see where you go from there. But, you know, right now, as you look at it, you've got 3 goalkeepers in your books now that Lindegaard's gone. 2 of them can't stand the sight of Louis van Gaal, and the third was brought in as a number 2, and all of a sudden has found himself in at the deep end, and being asked to doggy paddle.
Sounds like a bit of a recipe for disaster, really.
It certainly does. Yeah,
not
doesn't
good
look
news.
good.
And just before we let you go, Shaka, tell us more about what you make of the whole transfer window generally. Manchester City obviously seem to be running away with things at the moment. It's early days, but who do you think's come out of it best?
Well, in all honesty, the only of the big clubs who have come out of this with any kind of credibility has been Manchester City, who did their business early and tied up all their negotiation dealings, well in advance, and didn't have to be scrambling for a fax machine and the TMS machine or whatever it's called at the final minutes. Outside of that, I have to say I'm totally underwhelmed. We've spoken about Manchester United. Arsenal have signed nobody but Petr Cech. I think I'm right in saying that the only club in Europe who've not signed an outfield player in this transfer window. I understand Jose Mourinho wanted to show some loyalty to the team that won the Premier League last season, but after the poor start they had to this season, I thought he'd make a big splash in the transfer window just to shake things up a little bit, just to just to give these guys a much-needed kick up the behind. But that didn't happen either, and that was a huge surprise. Meanwhile, further down the table, you have to. Well, I'm impressed with West Ham, my old club. First and foremost, 4 signings who I think will add to their depth and add to their quality. And those are the ones who have kind of made us sit up and take a little bit of notice of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're right.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
For once you've rendered Mr. Parry's speech.
No, not at all.
Just before I let you go, I'll just mention I was over in Mexico last week, and I was watching a bit of Sky Sports, and they ran a little mini documentary about your career, which was fascinating. And all the guys that were on it were saying what a nice bloke you were.
Right, that had to be a mini documentary because it couldn't have been that long, and it was my career. In all honesty, I pay those guys to say nice things about me.
Well, it's a long time since they saw you. Obviously, people change as they grow older. Shaka, we understand these things. Thank you very much indeed, Shaka.
Thanks indeed for talking to us. Shaka Hislop there, not very impressed with your goalkeeping techniques.
I think he was.
A couple of quick tweets to read out.
He actually said that's from the FA goalkeeping manual.
Did you think that was a compliment?
Of course I did.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think that meant that was actually some rubbishy old plan that people had 50 years ago. Woodenhead says this: Mr. Parry, just accept that you were wrong about De Gea and Mike Graham bested you. Take it like a man, you prized plank. Roy says...
am I supposed to not react to insults like this, then?
Well, you may react if you wish. Yeah. Did Porky go to the same college as Alistair Campbell, says Roy. He's an amazing spin meister. Black is white, up is down, and he's always right.
I don't think so. By the way, Manchester United are coming in for some headlines tomorrow. I'm just looking at the back of the Mirror, war and all that, and... A theatre of dreams. It's more like the comedy club.
Well, I think that's absolutely right. We'll talk some more about that. Also, of course, we have to have the result of winners and losers, which you haven't asked me about.
No, I haven't.
It's all coming up next on Talk Sport.
You bet it is.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Freedom for sport.
Can we kick it? Yes, we can. Talk Sport.
Maybe the losers get lucky sometimes. Even the losers keep a little bit of pride. They get lucky sometimes.
There was a fascinating winners and losers contest last night. You were slightly hampered by the fact that you'd lost your notes for the losers.
Well, I did, actually.
And to some extent, I felt a little bit sorry for you there, and I think it may have hurt you.
Yes.
Because a lot of people said it was a bit shambolic, and therefore they couldn't bring themselves to vote for
I mean, considering that, a week's research had just disappeared, I don't know whether there was some gerrymandering going on in this studio.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, I'm meaning that I had documents in here at one stage of the show, which were very important to the outcome of winners and losers, and when it came to the moment of the competition, they disappeared.
Well, why don't you keep them all on your information device?
Well, no, I don't. I don't.
Mine.
I'm not going square-eyed by watching a tablet all the time. I believe in the old-fashioned thing of paper and writing and all this kind of stuff.
Now you know why that's not now been usurped by the use of tablets.
No, but anyway, I thought I coped admirably by remembering things. So you better tell us the result.
Yeah, well, the result is this. It was retweets for Mike Parry. It was favourites for me. The result is as follows. Retweets 104.
Oh, yes.
Favourites 197. So that's pretty much...
How do I know this is an accurate reflection?
Well, it's there. There it is. Read it in black and white. People can only vote once. I mean, we can't keep arguing about this. You never argue about it when you win. You only argue about it when you lose.
Well,
anyway, that means it's 1-1 overall.
Oh, well, it'll be better next week anyway.
Yeah, so next week we return to the fray. So that's good. So, keeping level pegging and all that, it's all very interesting.
Yeah, I was talking about competition, right? We're watching Andy Murray now, and he's on our internal screen
monitor.
Yes. And he's
Television.
playing the spoilt brat Kyrgios, isn't he?
Kyrgios,
that's right. And do you know what? I just
seems to be slaughtering him as well.
Yeah, I hope he is.
7-5 and 4-2 up in the second set.
Yeah, I generally speaking get on with Australian people. I quite like them, but I do think this boy's a spoilt brat.
I think he is a bit,
and I think he damages the image of tennis.
Yeah.
But one thing that I want to draw to your attention and that of our millions of listeners is I just saw Kyrgios chuck his tennis racket at a ball that he couldn't get to.
Right.
So, I mean, a petulant gesture, really. But what it sometimes means
it's 5-2 now.
It's 5-2. That's brilliant. Andy Murray's slaughtering him. That's great. Good. Now, sometimes you see them smash the cord on the net. Yeah. Sometimes you see them throw it on the ground and it bounces
Sometimes you
back.
actually see them smashing the racket completely.
Smashing the racket
it becomes all twisted.
And do you know what I don't understand? I don't understand how they can then just go and pick out another racket and start playing with that as the instrument of their sport. Yeah. In the same way as though it was the racket that just smashed or damaged.
I think the thing is, I just don't understand
it.
It's like quite often they change shoes throughout the course of a game.
Shoes is fine. Shoes is fine.
Shoes are as important as a racket when you're a tennis player.
Yeah, but your shoes, generally speaking, because they're so well made these days, literally wrap around your feet and give you the bounce.
But what I'm saying is, they have identical pairs of shoes, right? Yeah. As they have identical rackets.
You can't have an identical racket. No, you can't, Mike.
The technology now is such.
No, Mike, you can't.
Each racket that they pick out of that bag is exactly the same.
No, it can't be. It's impossible. The level at which they play, once they've played a couple of sets with a racket, they know absolutely to the millionth of a degree the tension and
the tension is exactly the same.
The tension in the strings on that racket.
Yeah, but they might even have a racket with slightly more tension, some with slightly less, and so they know which one to choose.
No, that's what I'm saying. They can't possibly have a racket that's got the same tension.
Yeah, they can.
No, they can't
because they have them. No. They have them kind of graded. If you like.
No. You don't understand.
In fact, so much so, I'm pretty sure I saw Roger Federer at Wimbledon. I don't know if it was this year or last year. Yeah. When he was playing against somebody, and he was having trouble getting the ball in the middle of the racket. Yeah. Because he uses an unusually small tennis racket. The head is unusually small.
Really?
And he went into his bag and he took a bigger one out.
Really?
Because he was having trouble hitting it in the middle of the racket. So he took a larger, because some rackets are bigger than others.
So his original racket was like a sort of squash bat, was it?
Well, it wasn't quite so small as that, but slightly smaller.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because he was having trouble hitting the ball where he wanted to.
But when I used to play tennis, I could...
Why is it all about you?
What's
so
when
you used to be a goalkeeper, you've had some advice for David De Gea.
Yeah.
Now that you used to be a tennis player as well, who did you play tennis for? You didn't play tennis for anyone.
I did. I played tennis at the Chester Lawn Tennis Club.
Really?
Yes.
I don't believe you.
What do you mean? I
can tell you're telling a load of old cobblers talking a lot of rubbish. Because I can always tell when you have a little smile at the end of the sentence.
This is an outrageous slur of my character, to be honest. And whenever I played, I could.
Where was the Chester Tennis Club?
It was down the Wrexham Road near my school.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And
still there?
Well, I don't know because I haven't played there for about 40 years. Right. So how would I know?
Well, we can look it up.
Well, I suppose you could look it up. You don't really want to, do you? What's the point?
Well, to find out if it's still on the Wrexham Road.
Well, yeah, okay, maybe. Yeah. And all I'm saying is that once I got used to, once I got into a game and I was massacring my opponent and all that, and I don't know what
There's
you're
no end to it, is there?
Yeah. And I couldn't then sort of drop my racket.
Bloody hell, look, Chester Lawn Tennis Club, Wrexham Road.
Is it really?
Yeah. This even surprised you.
That's a bit. Yeah, really. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was around there somewhere.
Should we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And I just don't know how they do it. But anyway, they do, and they're professionals and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I'm delighted to say that Andy Murray is going to massacre this guy in America. Of course, the US Open was his first ever major, wasn't it?
It was indeed.
So I hope you can repeat that. That's great. Yeah. Now, I was telling you about an unusual sighting on my way in tonight.
Yeah, what was that? Because, there's some supermoon activity going on at the moment as well.
Is there?
But it's too cloudy to see them, unfortunately.
So what happened the other night was, this was about 3 nights ago.
Yeah.
And it was raining, it's been raining terribly.
It was terrible rain today, actually.
Well, funnily enough, I've had
Did you get soaked?
No, but I've had a disaster in a building where a ceiling's come in.
Oh, dear.
Because there was a missing tile on the roof, which nobody detected except me.
Which building are you talking about?
The building I live in, actually.
Oh, really? So it's not in your flat, though?
Oh, no, it's not. It's right on the other side. But
why does that bother you, then?
Well, because the value of the building, of which I own part of the leasehold,
I see,
will be
so
affected
you have to cough up to fix it.
Well, somebody does, yeah, absolutely. And it's very bad management because a brown stain appeared on the ceiling.
Yeah.
So it was obvious there was something going on.
And nobody did anything about it.
Oh, somebody came along and painted over it.
Oh, brilliant.
Some idiot came and painted over it. Honest to God, it was unbelievable.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
It is unbelievable, And anyway, this morning, I knock on the door, I said, hello, it was the cleaners. I said, oh, Miss Parry. Yes, did you? No. So I went downstairs and part of the ceiling's come down. And I thought, right. So, I am literally now engaged in war against the people responsible.
Right.
Because...
Well, who is responsible? I mean, you don't have to name them, obviously.
No, it's a management company who win the contract.
So are they the people that actually ignored the problem?
Yeah, because it's their job to maintain the property.
Yeah.
And they should have regular inspections of the roof and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And if a problem is reported to them, look, there seems to be a bulge in that, and they say, oh, don't worry, we'll sort it out. It would have been easy just to have poked a knife into the ceiling, drain the water off into a bucket, and then find out what the problem was.
Or even sent somebody up onto the roof to see whether there was anything missing.
Do you know what? I've been talking today. They claim they did, and they found there was a split in the lead flashing, and they repaired it. Clearly they didn't. Anyway, that's another story.
That could be a problem, though, because, I mean, I've had that problem in the past. Is it a flat roof or is it a sloping roof?
This part of it was a flat roof.
Yeah, you see, I don't know why people have flat roofs. Because the water sits there.
I don't. I totally agree.
I had a problem in the house in Sussex where they've now been back to fix it 3 times.
Right.
Because they can't actually manage to sort out how the water moves. I said, well, it's easy. Just make it a sloping roof.
Exactly.
Doesn't need to be a flat
I totally
roof.
agree.
Murray's just won the second set, by the way.
Just won the second set. Hey, Andy Murray! Woo, woo, woo.
No, calm down.
What I was going to say was that this is only a bit of a flat roof in between 2 eaves.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean?
Oh, yeah, sure.
And so
there's no need for it to be flat, though,
no, I totally agree. It's nonsense.
That's a nightmare.
I might have to go and advise them how to repair it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But anyway, that's the thing.
Now,
Anyway,
you'll be pleased to know
Yes.
that Shaka Hislop has tweeted back.
Oh, yes.
And says, nothing getting by you there, Mike.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. Shaka, what a boy. I love you.
You must like that.
That's excellent.
Now, here's one from Willie, who doesn't agree. He says, a Sabutio goalie, couldn't he catch the cold? Not a patch on big shaky Hislop. And here's another one from...
That's a bit harsh. Sorry, was that written in Scottish?
It was, yeah.
Just to remind people.
Willie's from Scotland.
We're going to Scotland.
We are
December
going to Glasgow, December the 5th. Yeah,
Glasgow, the garage. Sucky Hull Street. Yeah.
The garage, it's called.
The garage. That's what
Garage.
I said. The garage.
Got to say the garage.
The garage.
Owen says this. I've never leaned forwards with my hands in the air all my life, Porky, and I've kept goals since I was 12.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who for?
Well, it doesn't say.
I bet it's Toy Town Rovers or something like that,
See,
isn't it?
once again, you're starting to give people a hard time. Sam says, good to see the Porky curse alive and well and strong enough to jinx the done deal move for De Gea.
Yeah.
Hashtag plank.
By the way, there's a headline here which I love because I can put it to song. Do you want me just to give you this? It's beautiful. It's about De Gea, right?
De Gea.
De Gea, yeah. How do you solve a problem like De Gea? It's great, isn't it?
That's not bad, yeah.
Because that's from Sound of Music. How do you solve a problem like Maria?
Yeah, you don't have to explain it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I thought I would, because some of our listeners are not as old as you and wouldn't remember it.
Here's one from our friend in Hull who says this. With that stance, he is begging for a guy to slot one between his legs.
No. You see, the advantage of being a medium-sized goalkeeper is you can get down to it. Yeah. Because the Manchester United goalkeeper, was it Ramirez?
Ramirez?
What's his name?
Who?
The goalkeeper for Manchester United. Romero. The reason why he couldn't save that ball at the near post against Swansea on, was it Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday,
was because he's too big to get down.
Right.
So tall goalkeepers do have a problem trying to...
Joe Hart has that problem, doesn't he?
Trying to deal with the ball at ground level. Yeah, but Joe Hart's very good, isn't he? Like Peter Schmeichel, what they did is they used their legs as part of the weaponry. I don't think Joe Hart's
anywhere near as good as Peter
Part
Schmeichel.
of the weaponry of goalkeeping.
I don't think he's anywhere near that good.
I don't think anybody's ever been as good as Peter Schmeichel, except Peter Shilton.
What about Peter Cech?
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't say so. No.
Well, it depends how far back you go, I suppose. As well.
I think Schmeichel is, the outstanding goalkeeper of your life watching football.
Really?
Until you go back to Peter Shilton, who was easily the best ever.
What about Pat Jennings?
Pat Jennings was brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But I think Peter Shilton was a little bit better.
What about Dino Zoff?
Dino Zoff was brilliant. Yeah. And so was...
What about Manuel Neuer?
No, not keen.
No?
No, not keen.
He's amazing.
No. I was about to say...
Did he not win Goalkeeper of the Year?
He might have done. But it didn't impress me, mate.
Well,
Just
they won the World Cup, Germany.
Yeah, all right. Fair enough, yeah. Okay, but he had a very good defence in front of him. I was going to say...
he was halfway up the pitch half the time.
I was going to say a man who influenced me massively in my attitude to life as a kid was Lev Yashin.
Oh, yeah.
Lev Yashin. What? Sorry.
Influenced you massively? Yeah. How, exactly?
Well, he was Russian.
Yeah.
And the Russian efficiency really sort of got in my skull, and I thought, this is very interesting.
We're going to talk about Russia coming up in the next hour, actually.
Yeah, we certainly are, actually. Good idea.
Frederick Forsyth. Now, here's a couple of final tweets. Roy says this. It looks like he's been stopped and frisked by the NYPD.
What?
Bilbo Baggins would be a better goalkeeper. And then here's one from Ian who says, looking gormless is a goalkeeping technique, is it?
Looking gormless. That's very harsh,
And then Frazzle says,
I do have feelings.
It looks more like a photo in an angling magazine. It was this big.
Oh dear, I don't know. Somebody out there doesn't have any appreciation.
No, I know.
The skill and the art of these things.
Absolutely shocking. Great picture here from Sam, who's put you up as that guy, I think that's that Colombian goalkeeper, Porky Higuita. Do you remember him?
Is he the guy who had the scorpion kick?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I saw that at Wembley.
That was famous moment.
I was at that game at Wembley, and everybody was standing there thinking, why is he letting the ball go over his head? It was quite remarkable.
It was incredible, wasn't
quite
it?
remarkable.
A couple of people have tried it since. Here's an interesting one on 8-year-olds playing football. This comes from Robert in Belfast. He says, I coach a kids under 18. Believe me, they aren't all short. Some of them look like they need a shave and are twice the size of some of the other kids. They only play 7-a-side now and in small nets, which helps them with tight ball control. And then he says, I was in Seville also without a ticket. What a day, even though we got beaten. 60,000 Celts and not one arrest.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. In fact, some people who were without a ticket actually took over my bedroom because Alan Brazil gave two when I say homeless, I mean two Celtic fans
who didn't have a place to stay.
Didn't have a place to stay and didn't have a ticket. He gave them the tickets to the game and he gave them my bedroom.
Right.
So when I came back after going out for dinner that night, with a few pals, and it was very difficult to find anywhere to go for dinner because we were so packed. I got back to find two drunken Scotsmen in my literally in my double bed.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Right. Now, I know
I'd sleep in the bath.
Now, I know that you've got a propensity for upsetting people before we go anywhere.
No.
But since we're going to Scotland, I mean, you don't want to keep making these references to drunken Scotsmen because
no.
very, very, very pilloried.
No. They were just a couple. I mean, the rest of them, the other 60,000, were very well behaved indeed. Okay. And by the way, I'm looking forward to going to Sauchiehall Street. Yeah. Legendary, isn't it? It's one of the legendary streets. I would say Sauchiehall Street is as famous in Scotland as William Wallace.
I would say so too. Yeah. Now, by coincidence, if you want to go on the Two Mikes YouTube channel, which is Two Mikes TV, you will see Porky's rendition of I Belong to Glasgow, which has also been retweeted out on the Two Mikes account. Yeah. And already a couple of people have seen it. Irish one says, brilliant, ha ha ha. And Frazzle says, Glasgow's in Scotland, not Ireland, as far as your accent is concerned, but good fun, and I've heard worse versions, he says. And Woodenhead says, I see Mike Parry's entry to this year's Sound Like a Strangled Cat idol went down well.
That's a bit harsh.
It is.
Now, the thing is, I want to make it absolutely clear that I did that literally as a tribute to Scotland.
Yes.
Whereas when we went to Newcastle, right, remember we did a bit of a sort of, the
Bladen races, right?
The Bladen races and all that. And one or two people said, are you taking the mickey out of the Geordies?
Yeah.
And the thing is, no, I wasn't, because, I used to live there, I used to work on the Evening Chronicle newspaper, and that was my sort of, affectionate takeoff of Geordies. But the Scottish one is not a takeoff of anybody or anything. It is me singing I Belong to Glasgow.
Yes.
And the reason is, can I just say this?
Yeah, go on.
From the age of about 3 or 4, right, I remember we used to have, you'll know this better than me, a Hogmanay-type New Year's Eve at home, okay?
Yeah.
And I've told you this before. My dad used to disappear out the black door, the black door.
The black door.
The back door.
Right.
And turn up at the front door with a piece of black coal.
Right.
And it was called first footing.
Yes, right.
And I've no idea what the history of it was, but it was apparently some Scottish ceremony. Is that right?
First footing is, I mean, it's what happens after midnight is a tall, dark stranger is supposed to cross the threshold and bring you good luck.
Okay.
He's supposed to bring with him a bottle of whiskey and a piece of coal.
Well, what's a piece of coal to do with it?
Well, it's just meant for good luck.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Anyway, so anyway, whenever somebody like my Uncle Alex or somebody was nominated to get out the back door and walk around the entry and then come in through the front door, with the back coal and all that.
Yeah.
All the adults used to break into, I belong to Glasgow.
Right. But you didn't have any Scottish connections.
No, but I think it was Hogmanay. It was the Hogmanay thing,
Hogmanay.
Hogmanay, because I think my dad, like, you know, who'd been in the Navy during the Second World War and all that kind of stuff, and he'd met men from literally Scotland, Ireland, India, you know, and anybody serving in the Second World War on our side, sort of thing. He knew it, and he always said that. He was the first person who taught me that Hogmanay or New Year's Eve is a much more important celebration in Scotland than Christmas.
Well, it always was, because Christmas they only used to get one, and I think I'm still right in saying they only get one bank holiday for Christmas Day.
Yes.
Boxing Day doesn't exist in Scotland.
No.
Whereas for New Year, they would get two.
Yeah, but also they got New Year's Day off for 30 years before we did.
But they get New Year's Day and another one.
Do they? Is that
so
right?
their Boxing Day actually comes, it takes 2 days to recover.
But anyway, all this is in the run-up to the fact that we're going to be up there on December the 5th. Looking forward to it very much indeed. Yeah. And if you want to have a listen to I Belong to Glasgow, it is there on Two Mics TV.
It is indeed.
Now, we'll put out a link.
Now, here's something else I want to talk to you about, apropos Lev Yashin and your Russian connections. Right? Did you see that story at the weekend? I think it was in Sunday Times.
Amazing.
Freddie Forsyth, author of The Day of the Jackal, revealed that he'd been working for MI6 for more than 20 years.
Yeah, I know.
I'm surprised you didn't know that.
Well, I kind of did. I know Freddie Forsyth pretty well, actually. Yeah. I've always been a big fan of his novels. I mean, and when they made a film of The Day of the Jackal, I thought it was so brilliant. You know, it was so clinical, and the killer, who was played by one of the Fox family, was it Frederick Fox or James Fox?
No, it was Edward Fox.
Edward Fox, that's right. Yeah, Edward Fox. You know, it was one of the Foxes. Yeah. You know, such a brutal killer. What are you laughing at?
One of the Foxes.
Yeah, well, there's a big family.
Yeah, it is a big family.
I mean, even to this day now, old Louis. No, it's not Louis Fox.
Michael J. Fox?
No, you idiot. In Lewis, which is the successor to Morse.
Yes, right.
Right, Inspector Lewis, and his sidekick is Sergeant Hannigan or something.
Hannigan.
Played by Lawrence Fox.
Is it?
That's right, Lawrence Fox.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So just to let you know. But anyway, look, what you're talking about here is absolutely intriguing.
Porky Vision's tomorrow night, by the way.
What?
Porky Vision's tomorrow night.
Yes, I know that, yeah. What you're saying is absolutely intriguing. On the front page of the Sunday Times last week, and Freddie Forsyth is, for the first time, and it'll be an intriguing book at the age of 77, writing his autobiography.
That's right.
And it includes his time. I mean, you know, he said to me many years ago, I'll tell you a funny story about it in a minute. He said to me many years ago, look, I didn't just suddenly become an author. I served my time. For 25 years...
He was a journalist, wasn't he?
He was a Reuters correspondent. Yeah. And he covered wars in Vietnam, Indonesia. He was a correspondent in Moscow and Washington,
well, in Biafra, where he was, back in sort of the early 60s, I suppose.
Right.
Or the late 60s, I should say. Yeah. That was where he says he was first approached by British intelligence.
That's right. Absolutely. He was. Now, what I'm going to say to you was, it's actually spy time at the moment, because there's another...
Spy time?
Yeah, it is spy time, honestly. There's another book coming out at the moment, and it's about the spy rings, which included, you know, Guy Burgess and all that kind of stuff.
McLean,
Burgess, and Philby, Kim Philby. Yeah. And it's absolutely fascinating. It gives insights into how they were recruited at Cambridge University, and how the British establishment was so naive about the infiltration of Russian spies that they were handing these guys like secrets after secrets after secrets. Yeah. And these fellas were going off to Hampstead Heath to what were called dead letterboxes and handing over top secret files to Russian agents from the Russian embassy. Yeah. Absolutely fascinating stuff, you know.
And did they not then identify that there was a Daily Express journalist involved in this particular spy ring as well?
That is one of the most fascinating aspects of the whole thing. Yeah. There was, and I only found out about this while you were away. Okay, right. While you were away, it was revealed that a former theatre critic on the Daily Express.
Right. This would be in the 50s, right?
It's in the 50s, absolutely right. Was revealed to be the sixth man in the spy ring involving Burgess, McLean and all that lot, okay? Yeah. And it's absolutely fascinating.
Because they've never known, they've always thought there was a sixth man, but they never knew who it was.
Well, originally they thought there were only three, and then there was the fourth man, then the fifth man, and now there's the sixth man, you know. And
remember the third man, that movie? That was a good movie.
Yeah.
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles, that's right. Yeah, it was, yeah. But anyway, look, I'll tell you more about it in a minute. Right. There's a great link to all this, and to the Daily Express, where you and I both worked, okay? And how journalists in those days, even to the days when you and I worked there, had a massive influence on the world of spying, because we used to go to places they didn't.
Well, this is how he got his kind of recruitment thing going, and he says that he didn't think he was doing anything wrong, because all he was doing was passing the same, more or less, journalistic information to MI6 that he would have passed to his newspaper anyway.
But if you read into that stuff, Mike, in the Sunday Times, he was very brave in one respect. He went to an East German country and he went to a public lavatory and he went into one cubicle and the spy that he was dealing with went into the other one. He was handing over secrets to the West.
Right.
And they slipped folders underneath the cubicle, divide and all that kind of stuff. Crikey, I wouldn't have done that for fear. It was East Germany. It was in East Germany, I just remembered.
The Stasi.
For some of the Stasi would walk in and by tomorrow morning, mate, you'd be stretched out on a metal rack with a Bunsen burner, warming up your jacksie, you know what I mean?
What a terrible picture that has just given me. Right.
Well, that's what they used to do to you. I mean, I wouldn't fancy that.
Funnily enough, he hasn't mentioned that in his book, but we'll talk more about Spies and Bunsen burners coming up next on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. It is time for Ask Porky coming up tonight. We've got some great questions already, but if you wish to send any more in, you can send them at the two Mikes, or you can send them via email to talksport.com. A couple of reactions on your goalkeeping conversation.
Oh, yes.
Here's one from Afolabi, who says, more nonsense from Porky. As per usual, Neuer has taken goalkeeping to a whole new level. The sweeper-keeper.
Yeah.
And David says, Peter Cech is very, very good at making saves with his legs, one of the best in the league. And what about Jez, who's obviously an Everton fan, who says, Mr. Parry, the greatest goalkeeper you've ever seen is Neville Southall.
Of course.
Schmeichel wasn't fit to spit on his gloves. Southall didn't make a mistake for 5+ years. Schmeichel was always like to throw one in his own net or blunder into a defender.
And the great thing about Neville Southall, of course, was he wasn't a giant. And so his ability to get down to balls was just as good as his ability to get up to them.
Yeah.
I saw him save Everton from certain draw. We were leading 2-1 at Tottenham right towards the end of the game in the season when we won our first Premier League title.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Premier League, the first division title in the 80s, which was in 85. And Graham Roberts hit a ball from about 30 yards out on the volley. It was screaming in under the bar until Southall came out of nowhere and saved it. It was a Gordon Banks Brazil save. It really was.
Yeah.
And that saved us. And what happened was that night we overtook Spurs at the top of the table and went on to win the title.
Yeah.
So I don't need telling about how brilliant Neville Southall was. Now the reason we're playing that spy music, which was Bond,
James
of course,
Bond,
was we've been talking about Spies, and there's more to say about Spies and the Cold War and all that.
Right.
But I thought we'd just introduce the fact that, and this really gets my goat, this, mate. Really gets my goat.
What's upset you now?
Well, Daniel Craig, right, who's made an absolute fortune out of being James Bond.
Yes,
and
he's doing his final one, isn't he?
He's doing, I don't know if it's his final one.
I believe it is,
Has he said it?
I think he said that, because we're now having a conversation about who the next Bond is going to be.
Well, we are, but it's the fourth one. I think people are assuming he might step down. But what I really hate, and it's happened to actors who've played Bond before, is Bond is a sexist loser, says Craig. The actor claims he's the best 007 yet, but slates the character as an unlikable dinosaur. And then he goes on
that
to...
seems a bit disingenuous, doesn't it?
I mean, it's just hopeless. It goes... for many people, James Bond is the ultimate hero, suave, handsome killer with the ladies and a man who knows what to do with a vodka martini when he's not dispatching assorted villains to assorted sticky ends. But to the actor who plays him, Daniel Craig, James Bond's a loser.
See, I think he was one of the worst Bonds because you talk about, for example, David De Gea not being able to believe in playing for Manchester United. Yeah. I don't think he believed in playing James Bond. He played this guy that he clearly, as he's now revealing, thought was a bit of a dinosaur, thought was a bit of a sexist, didn't really get himself into the character, so he didn't seem believable. Yeah. He didn't really seem as though he liked being a cad. No. He didn't enjoy, sort of using women for sex and killing men because that was his job.
I think it's unbelievable. It says here, despite
very ungrateful.
I think it's incredibly ungrateful because it's chipping away at the image of James Bond, who is a great British hero. Yeah. He says, despite having played Ian Fleming's creation in 4 films, Spectre is released next month. Doesn't say he's going to end it, but anyway, go on. Craig does not seem to like Bond much. He said, quotes, I don't know if I'd like to spend too much time with him. Maybe an evening, but it would have to be early doors. What goes on after hours, I'm not sure about. Bond's vigorous love life hides an emptiness in his life. He's very lonely. There's a great sadness. He's going around romancing these beautiful women, but then they leave him, and I think it's sad. And as a man gets older, it's not a good look. It might be a nice fantasy, it's debatable, but the reality after a couple of months is that there's nothing there. And I find that's awful. Now, what's good is...
Well, he's also a character who is a fictional character, who is a very high-profile and high-class sort of spy.
Yes.
So he may not wish to be attached to anybody because of the fact that, he may be killed at any time.
Absolutely. But, they're all having a go here. Pierce Brosnan, right, was asked about it.
Yeah.
He says, well, it never felt real to me. I never felt I had a complete ownership over Bond because you'd have to introduce these stupid one-liners, which I loathed, and I always felt a phony doing them. Do you know what? I think when they extracted the one-liners out of the Bond films, the Bond films lost something.
They did.
They tried to... What Daniel Craig tried to be was, he tried to be Jason Bourne.
Yes.
Because the Jason Bourne films came out.
Oh, they're terrific.
In fact, there's one on tonight, I think.
Is
I think it's the Bourne Identity, the original one. Yeah. And all of a sudden, they turned the Bond franchise into Hardman.
Yeah.
Whereas, in fact, I think Roger Moore was the best blend of a guy who got the job done.
No, I don't agree.
And was suave.
I think it was Pierce Brosnan, actually. I think he was great, too.
Well, I thought he was pretty good, Pierce Brosnan, but I think Roger Moore...
I think, we've said this before, Roger Moore, to me, was a bit of a pantomime James Bond. I mean, he turned it into too much of a sort of humorous figure.
I can see where you're coming from there. But
And you can't really argue with Sean Connery as the classic James Bond, who was great.
Sean Connery, because we're watching Andy Murray, it's a famous joke at Wimbledon, what time do you want to get at Wimbledon, Sean? About tennis? Oh, no, I haven't got a racket.
Gaz, well, quite timely, actually, this one from Gaz. Gaz says, listening to Porky do accents is like listening to Steve McLaren doing a Dutch accent.
Really? Yeah, well, that's a bit harsh. Pierce Brosnan, in fact, Timothy Dalton.
Yeah.
Now, he only played in two.
He wasn't very good. I didn't like him. He was a bit wooden.
Do you know what? Even when he was playing James Bond, you kind of felt he didn't want to be doing it. You know what I mean? He didn't seem comfortable even in the role.
Yeah.
But he said, on one level, I'd prefer never to hear the words James Bond again.
Yeah.
But on another level, it is part of my blood and my life. And it's the only movie in the world that offers a British actor the chance of international recognition. So at least, he's...
Well, that's rubbish as well.
Well, at least he's been a bit grateful for saying that, it brought me recognition, all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's ridiculous, though. I mean, look at, all the various British actors that have gone to Hollywood and had great success.
Exactly.
I mean, what about, Hannibal, Lecter, and Anthony Hopkins?
What about Cumberbatch?
What about Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and all the British actors that have been in those movies?
I mean, that's absolutely true. I
think Daniel Craig's lost the plot, hasn't he?
Is it Daniel Lewis who was Harry Potter?
Hey? Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe, that's the guy. And I mean, he's handled that marvellously
Daniel Day-Lewis, who's another British export who's done terribly well over there.
Last of the Mohicans.
That's right.
Listen, Daniel, what's his name again? The Harry Potter guy?
Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe. Do you know what? I have respect for him. Do you know I have massive respect for him?
Why?
Well, obviously you and I are very well acquainted, because it happened when we were there, with Home Alone.
Yes.
Now, who's the Home Alone boy?
The Home Alone boy...
Colin McCarthy.
Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin, that's the guy, right. Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah.
Now, he
went a bit off the rails, didn't
he? I was about to say, he made two films, didn't he? Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2. Did they make a Home Alone 3?
I think they did, yeah.
I think they did, yeah. But anyway, 1 was brilliant.
1 was great. Yeah, 2 was not bad.
2 was okay.
Yeah.
Chasing around New York and staying at the Plaza. And Donald Trump was in that one, wasn't he?
I think he was.
Donald Trump made a cameo appearance, because didn't he own the Plaza at the time?
I think he did.
I think he did, yeah. But anyway, the point of my story
What is the point of the story?
Years later, that poor boy, when he grew up from being a little cute boy into a teenager and then a young man, went completely off the rails.
Yeah.
Drugs and all that. Whereas Daniel
Radcliffe. Why can you not remember his name? And yet you can remember somebody who played for Everton about 1 million years ago.
Yeah, well, that's all right, yeah.
Who was left back.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Sandy Brown.
Yeah, but it's an amazing thing, that.
But anyway...
You just kind of gloss over it like it's nothing.
Listen, what I was going to say was, Daniel Radcliffe has now emerged...
Yeah.
Thrown off the cloak of Harry Potter and is
the invisibility cloak of Harry Potter.
Exactly. Thank you very much indeed. And is recognised as a great actor in his own right.
Well,
He's taken on stage performances and all sorts of different roles. Did it naked, and he's played all sorts of weirdos and all that kind of stuff.
Maybe he'd be a good James Bond.
Well, who knows? In future days,
in years to come.
Now, we need to get back to the spying very quickly.
Yeah, go on.
Right, when I worked in Ireland, right, and I did for 18 months, I had to drive up to see Freddie Forsyth in his baronial mansion.
Oh, yeah, because you said you had a story to tell about him. Yeah.
Baronial mansion.
He lived in Ireland, did he?
He lived in Ireland because in those days...
Tax reasons.
You didn't pay any taxes if you were an artist,
right.
and he was a very successful author.
Right.
So I drove down from Dublin to see him in his baronial mansion he lived in.
Right.
I knocked on his door.
Was this down in sort of Killarney way or something?
I don't know where... I can't remember where it was now. It was was in the
country.
country.
Did you hire that woman from the Guardian's car to go there?
No, I didn't. Brenda Parry, no, I didn't. But anyway, look, the point of the story is I got there because I was going to ask him, as an award-winning author, to write a piece for our paper, I worked with the Daily Express at the time, on how he saw the Troubles.
Does he not still do a column for the Sunday Express even now?
He does a column for the Daily Express
on
a Wednesday, I think. But anyway, so I knocked on the door, and he said, he opened the door himself. He said, hello. I said, no, he said, look, come in. He said, look, I can't do that. And I said, why? He said, I'm an Englishman living in Ireland.
Yeah.
He said, I'm very wealthy. And frankly, I would not get myself immersed in the politics of Ireland, north or south. It would be madness because I write fiction.
Yeah.
But then he gave me a drink and we had a chat and all that, and then I drove off and he was great.
Right.
And then years later,
did you never ask him if he was in MI6 then?
No, well, I didn't then. No, but the point is, this guy at the Express, right? Now, this is the interesting thing. His name was former Daily Express film critic Cedric Belfrage.
All right.
Right?
Don't remember him.
Yeah, no, I don't. He was before our time, but he was revealed as the sex Cambridge spy.
Right.
But I was telling Hawksby and Jacobs last week while you were away, one time I had to ring up Chapman Pincher to get a comment from him on the spy story.
Uh-huh.
And when he answered the phone, and I told this story in Hawksby and Jacobs, so this is second hand, he said, code. And I said, no, Mr. Pincher. I said, it's Mike Parry here. I'm the news editor of the Express. He said, code. And I said, what? And he said, you could be from the Russian embassy. Unless you've got the code, I can't speak it. Anyway, I then had to spend 2 hours finding the managing editor who had the code locked in his safe to talk to Chapman Pincher.
Right.
And you know what the code was?
What was it?
Have you taken your chalk brown lab for a walk today?
Really?
Yeah.
How bizarre.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And
So it really was like one of those kind of Harry Palmer type films.
It was ridiculous, It was ridiculous and all that. But that was the spy ring in Fleet Street in those days.
My goodness me.
Amazing.
Fascinating stuff. Now, coming up, we're going to try and get some help for my goldfish, because you were pooh-poohing my anguish about it yesterday. We're going to talk
People think I've been cruel to the goldfish.
We're going to talk to a goldfish expert who is named Mike Gannon. I went to school with a guy called Mike Gannon. I wonder if it's the same one. This is Talk Sport with the two Mikes.
Talk Sport.
And it's in!
A diving header at the end of a 50-yard run.
From the root to the tip.
Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. It's time for Ask Porky coming up in about an hour from now, later on in the show. Right now, we're going to talk about
That's a great
goldfish.
song, that, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Fisherman's Blues.
Fisherman's Blues. That reminds me of young Keith.
Yes, Keith
Arthur,
Yes.
and that great show.
Yeah,
and
Fisherman's Blues.
And he discovered that song.
Well, he didn't discover it.
He did.
It was by the Water Boys.
Water Boys, that's right. Yeah, great song.
Yeah,
great song.
Great band, actually. Anyway, we're talking goldfish, and that's the closest we can find to a song about goldfish. I'm not sure we've got one. Mike Gannon's a goldfish expert. I explained to you yesterday about how one of my kids' fish is not very well, a bit poorly, and it doesn't seem to be doing...
face down in the gravel at the bottom of the
aquarium.
aquarium.
That's how we found him.
Right.
And at the moment, he's sort of, recuperating, but we're not really sure what to do about it. Somebody like last night suggested putting peas in the tank. That didn't seem to do much for him at all. Let's talk to Mike and find out from him if there's anything else I can do. Mike, a very good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, you guys. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well,
thank
well
you.
indeed. I mean, I've had various people on Twitter telling me that that it might be a case of swim bladder. It could be a case of tail rot. It could be a fact that the tail of the goldfish has broken in some way. The fish doesn't seem able to kind of swim normally. What does it sound like to you?
Sounds like swim bladder to me.
Does
swim
it?
bladder disorder.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh,
And is there any cure? Is there any cure for that?
There's really not a cure for it. Fish can live with this condition for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's very common in ornamental goldfish,
Right.
and it's not transferable, so it's not contagious to other fish.
Okay. But
It is
it
really
doesn't seem like he's not very kind of mobile. So I mean, if he can live like that for a long time, it doesn't seem like it'd be very enjoyable for him.
No, it's probably not the most the best way to live your life out, but they can stay like that for a while. There's not too much you can do for it because it's an organ within the fish that doesn't form correctly, and then it can't control how well it swims. So it'll sit on the bottom. Sometimes they float. They'll float at the top of the aquarium.
Right.
But like I said, they can live like that for a long time, and you just try to keep them comfortable and take care of them while they're hanging in there.
Now, Mike, tell me this, please, a serious question. How do any of us know what a fish is thinking?
Well, you gotta sit down next to your fish bowl, spend some time there, and meditate on it, and just try to figure out what the fish is trying to tell to you.
Well, are there signs? There must be signs to look out for then.
I think there are some things. It's funny. I've been doing fish a long time. I had a customer who had a goldfish in a huge fish tank, very, very big goldfish, over a foot long. And he called me one night, 11 o'clock at night. He's like, all my fish keep staring at me. What do you think is going on? Mm-hmm. So you never know what's going on with these fish. I think most of the time they may just want some food.
Yeah.
Well, or he might have been smoking some particularly strong weed.
That could be the case. Yeah. That could have been the case, too.
Yeah, Mike, what about this old theory that a fish has a mental retention of like 1 second, so that if a fish is in a fish bowl, the reason why it doesn't get bored and go mental is because every 1 second it says to itself, oh, this is a nice place. Bub, 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 bub. Oh, this is a nice place. Bub, 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 bub. Oh, you see what I mean? I mean...
that's a myth, though, isn't it?
No, well, that's the general perception of what a fish's brain does.
Yeah, it's kind of how I live my life. But, I think with fish, their retention may be a little bit longer than that. Because I can tell you this, sometimes fish, if you're the person who feeds a fish...
Yeah.
They'll come up to you again and again. But if you're a stranger approaching a fish tank to give food, fish will hide. So clearly there's some recognition that there's this new person in front of the tank, and their first reaction is going to be to hide until they feel comfortable. So I think there's a little bit of retention, but I wouldn't say it's very long. But there's something going on there.
I mean, some people have said that they've got a memory that can span as long as 3 months.
Oh, rubbish.
What do you mean, rubbish?
That's nonsense.
Well, let's ask the expert. What do you think, Mike?
I think 3 months probably sounds about right.
Thank you.
What? You said no, you said a bit longer than a second. I didn't think you were going to say 3 months.
Well, 3 months in a goldfish life, that is a long time.
Okay, well, if it is 3 months then, Mike, here's another one. I don't know if this happens in America, because I never went to a fairground in America, apart from Coney Island.
Well, that's a fairground.
Well, yeah, it is, but I mean, not a travelling fairground. We have a travelling fairground in this country where if a kid, wins some sort of competition, throws a ring over a bottle or something like that, you get a prize. And the prize in this country is often a plastic bag with a fish in it. Now, and the fish is a goldfish. Now, that seems either incredibly cruel or actually quite practical to take the fish home and put it into a fish bowl. Which of the two is it?
I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. It's a tricky thing because I guess you really want to have that fish if you're playing the game, so you're willing to take it home and give it a home. But honestly, some of the conditions that the fish are kept in is a little questionable.
Oh, terrible.
Especially under those types of circumstances.
Oh, shocking.
But, overall, I think it can work out for both parties.
Now, one of the things that we discussed last night, and as you can tell, neither one of us are particularly an expert on goldfish.
You guys talk about goldfish a lot.
Well, only because I've got this particular goldfish problem, and I don't know what to do about it. And one of the things that I was being sort of asked about was whether you should sort of put the goldfish out of its misery, as it were. Whether you should, because there are places you can take goldfish now to have them euthanized, right? Which seems a bit ridiculous. If there was a decision made, shall we say, not necessarily by me, but by somebody in the household, that we should, let the goldfish kind of, die a peaceful death or something. I mean, what can you do?
Well, there's first of all, your fish can live with its condition for a very, very long time. When it does come to fish euthanization, there's two more or less popular methods, and one of them is to administer clove oil, which you can get at most health food stores.
Clove oil, yeah.
And that clove oil, that works as an anesthetic, just like they use with dogs and cats and other domestic pets.
Yeah. And
that will essentially put them to sleep forever. Or you can...
You put that in the water, you mean?
Yeah, you put it into the water.
You have to take the other fish out, presumably.
Yeah, you'd want to take the other fish out for sure.
Okay.
For sure. And they use this in fish surgery. There's some very expensive fish out there, and people literally have their fish go into surgery. Clove oil is used in surgery because it puts the fish in a state of being that, they can handle the surgery. And a little more of a dosage, it'll put them to sleep, forever.
Mike, what is your take? What is your official take on the age-old question? Does a fish feel pain when it has a hook in its mouth?
I think they do, but I don't think they react to pain the way we think of reacting to pain. There's certain things that would seem to be painful that you could do to a human, but, we can handle it to a certain degree. I don't think it's that terribly painful if it's hooked in the right way. Some hooks go in and they get, almost all the way down the throat or into the stomach. Ugh. That may be a different issue. But just hooking through the mouth, I don't think is very painful.
No. Well, we haven't got any hooks going on in the goldfish bowl, but, the goldfish don't have stomachs, do they?
Not in the sense that we think about it. But, they do have, there's a digestive organ inside there.
One of the suggestions that somebody gave me was to put peas. I don't know if you heard me say this earlier. Was to put peas, shelled peas, in the tank because that would somehow help. And somebody else had suggested pouring a little bit of whiskey in it. Any ideas what that would do?
The whiskey might be for you.
That doesn't help.
The peas. Honestly, I've been keeping fish professionally for almost 30 years. I've tried peas, and I've heard that recommended. I have not seen any direct benefit of that, except that they do enjoy them as a food in general. It's a very good food for them. Mm-hmm. Whether it's going to correct the condition, I don't think it actually corrects the condition that they have.
Okay. And Mike, the other thing I need to ask you, because you're an expert on this, is when the mad vegan lobby, these vegans who don't want you to eat meat and all that kind of stuff, when they eventually take over the world, which they will, by, convincing us all that it's cruel to keep cows in a field and all this kind of stuff, are there going to be enough fish in the world to sustain a global population of about 5 billion? Well, sorry, what are you laughing at?
What sort of a question is that?
It's a question
the
to an expert.
They don't want you to eat fish either.
Well, in that case, Mike, what do you think?
Meaning that we're all going to end up eating fish?
Yes.
No, it won't. We're already depleting our fish stocks throughout the entire world.
Well, that's what I thought.
That would be. The vegans are on a path to having us all be very hungry, I think.
Yeah, well, we're all going to starve in that case if the vegans get their way. Once they've shot all the cows and then we fish the oceans until they're dry, what do we eat then?
Yeah,
I don't know what you're worried about. That's going to be a long way in the future.
It won't be goldfish.
No, it won't be goldfish. No, you're absolutely right.
Keep it sustainable. Well, Mike, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, thank you
for your tips. I just say, by the way, that Nick Kyrgios won the third set off Andy Murray by 6-4.
Yeah.
But Murray's 1-0 up in the fourth set.
Exactly.
I hope this is not going to be one of those Murray games where he loses the plot in the middle of it and then has to sort of fight to win the end of it.
I hope not as well. That was really interesting talking to the fish, man.
Yeah. That wasn't bad news though.
Why?
The fish is already dead.
No, your fish is dead.
Yeah.
You didn't tell him that.
No, I didn't want to.
Well, hang on. You've lied to our millions of listeners. You did.
No.
You said.
No, I haven't.
You said at the start. You said at the start of this. Never mind the time. You're trying to use the time now to hide your shame.
No, not at all.
You said it was getting better.
No, I didn't.
You did.
No,
you did.
No, I did not. Well, this is useful information in case one of the other fish get it, isn't it?
And what have you done with the carcass?
It's been put down the toilet.
Oh my God! I don't think I want to be in the same studio as this man. I don't.
You told me to throw it in a field yesterday.
Well, that would have been more humane than flushing it down the bog.
Why?
Well, suppose it's got relatives, and they say, what happened to your Fred?
It's dead.
Fred the fish.
It's dead.
You say, his owners threw him down the bog. Well, that's not very nice.
Well, there's no like fish sort of crematorium where they all hang out.
Well, I think it's a disgustingly insensitive way to end any animal's life. How would you like it if, you got flushed down the bog?
Well, we are the two Mikes. Coming up in the next hour, it's Ask Porky, of course. So if you've got any questions or any quandaries or any problems that you need help with, the Porkmeister is here to help you. Jim says this from Hamilton in Scotland. He says, is it not the case that it's cruel to keep fish in a bowl as it drives them insane? Put it down the lavvy pan and wave goodbye. But it wasn't in a bowl. It was in a proper fish tank,
Yeah. No, I don't think it is. But I tell you what, I have another animal campaign I was going to tell you about.
And we haven't had one of your campaigns for a while.
No, we won't do it now because I want to ask you about your dog. But I'm definitely going to get involved in the campaign, which has originated in Switzerland and Austria, to ban hill farmers from putting... Thank you.
That's the campaign, sir.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah. To ban hill farmers from putting bells around their cows' necks because they've only just realised for hundreds of years it's been driving cows insane.
Really?
Well, imagine
what was the reasoning behind putting cow bells on there?
Because the farms are so big, they used to lose the cows over the hills because it's such a hilly region.
To be able to hear
so
them.
they need to be able to hear them to go and get them back.
Well, it'd be worse to lose them, wouldn't it?
Well, no, because imagine if you wanted to go to sleep and somebody'd tied a bell around your neck and you couldn't take it off. Yeah. How would you get to sleep?
Well, just lie still.
No, but people don't lie still when you're in bed. You toss and turn and all that kind of stuff.
No, you lie still.
The bell's been driving the cows mad for hundreds of years and nobody really noticed till now, so I'm getting involved in that. But anyway, listen, I want to talk to you.
Standing up anyway.
No. They lie down to keep the ground dry beneath them in case it rains overnight.
No, they lie down when it's about to rain. That's how you know it's about to rain. No, but when they sleep standing up.
No, they don't.
Well, they don't lie down to bed, do they?
They lie down on the ground. I'm telling you, sometimes on straw. Now then, let me just put this. No, I don't know you're laughing at. You see, that's the recourse of the ignorant. You know, I don't understand this. I'll laugh.
No, because I'm trying to picture this cow lying down on a bed of straw.
Oh well,
he's got a pillow.
Well, where do you think?
Bedside table.
Have you never seen a picture of the infant Jesus in his crib?
Does it watch Netflix?
Have you never? Don't be stupid. Have you never seen the picture of the infant Jesus in the stable in the crib?
What, the nativity, you mean?
Yeah, that's right. And there's a cow there lying on the straw. Have you seen that?
Well, I haven't seen that, no.
Yeah, well, you haven't seen it then.
Which particular rendition are you referring to?
Well, never mind that, because I have something else I want to talk to you about.
Right. Well, I used to have a crib set when I was a kid, right?
Oh, yeah?
And we'd have the three kings. We'd have Mary and Joseph. We'd have the baby. Yeah. There was no cow lying down.
Well, that's because you can't have straw in a crib set. It's a child's toy. You don't get live
straw.
You don't get live straw.
I'm talking about when it was in a church. We used to have it.
I see. Well,
there was no lying down cow.
Well, wasn't there a local farmer who used to donate a couple of bales of hay and all that kind of stuff?
What, in North London?
Yeah.
You're having a laugh. What local farmer? I live in Hampstead.
Well, you know what I mean. You should have had a bale of hay from somewhere. You should have got a farmer to drive it in this tractor. Now then, I want to talk to you about your dog, because, of course, you banned the dog for 2 weeks.
No, I put the dog into a very nice place for 2 weeks.
And now you're back. But this is quite serious now. Now, in the past, I've asked you, why you do things like, you're not sure that your dog has got enough doggy friends. You're not sure that you've asked me these questions, but I've never said that there's a problem. Yeah, you never. Now, but these are serious problems. I want you to answer them, okay? All right. I've got a new book and this book is supposed to be read by people before they take on a pet. Right. Okay. So I want you to answer these questions very seriously, right? First of all, do you know whether your dog sees in black and white or colour? Well, it's interesting you asked me that question, because my son was asking me that question when we were on holiday. Really? And he says, is it true that dogs only see in black and white? And I said, well, I've been told that, but I'm not sure. Is the straight answer. I can tell you the answer. How am I going to find out? Because I can't ask the dog, can I? Right, I'll tell you the answer. This book's written by experts. Right. Dogs' eyes detect fewer hues than ours, so their perception is similar to humans with colour blindness. Okay. They can tell the difference between blue and yellow, right, but they see green and red as shades of grey. Oh, that's the same, yeah. Well, because some people who are colourblind have different sort of colourblind things, don't they? Is that a dog? That's a dog. Yeah. No, because some people, if they're colourblind, it doesn't mean they can't see any colours. They sometimes can't see red, or they can't see green, or something like that. Well, they shouldn't be driving, should they? Well, they certainly shouldn't be driving. Right. No. Now, here's your second question. Yes. Right. When a dog eats grass, does it mean it is about to be sick? No. Why? Well, because grass is actually good for their digestion. What, you think dogs should eat grass? Well, they do eat grass, and it's not a bad thing for them. OK, the answer to that one from the experts is, it is often thought dogs only eat grass to make themselves sick and get rid of something nasty that they've swallowed. However, and some people even think it's a sign of a lack of nutrients in their diet. However, studies have shown neither are the case. And in fact, the behaviour is much more likely to be because grass tastes very nice, particularly in the spring and summer months when it's green and fresh, as long as it's not been sprayed with pesticides. Quite right, yeah. Right, now, so eating the grass is a good thing? It says it's OK here. So that's 1 out of 2 for me then, is it? Or 2 out of 2, I suppose. 2 out of 2, I suppose, yeah. Now, here's thank you, woof woof. Now then, another one here. Do dogs actually age 7 years for every human year, or is that just a myth? Well, it depends on the size of the dog, technically, and also they age in a strange way. For example, after 1 year, the dog might be 7 years old, but after 2 years, it's not 14, if you know what I mean. It kind of it starts to kind of go backwards, if you like. Actually, that's quite an accurate answer, because the experts say dogs come in all shapes and sizes, so working out their age in human years is not as simple as multiplying it by 7. Right. Different breeds take different lengths of time to reach maturity, and lifespans vary based on size and genetics, OK? Yes. Now then, this is one that you need to know about if you want to have a dog. Yeah. Can a dog catch a cold? Yes. No. What do you mean, no? No, the experts say... In fact, I'm pretty sure my dog has had a cold. No. The experts say, and I've got this from a dog expert book, OK? Yeah. It says, no, common cold and flu viruses cannot be passed from dogs to humans, and a dog cannot catch your cold either.
Well, that's not a question you asked me. You said, can a dog catch a cold? I didn't say you can catch a cold from me.
A dog cannot
Dogs
catch
can have
a
colds.
cold.
Well, dogs can have colds.
No, it is...
You're just saying they can't pass into species.
No. Listen to the rest of
you
the
didn't
answer.
ask the question correctly.
Listen to the rest of the answer.
You're changing the questions
No,
You're gerrymandering the quiz.
No. It is... thank you. That's a bit of a... Rah, 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 rah. It is very uncommon to catch illnesses from pets, but some diseases are contagious, so be careful. If a dog is carrying any of the common bugs that cause food poisoning, you can easily avoid these by washing your hands after handling your dog.
Okay.
And
so
you
4
should.
out of 4 for me then. Huh?
No, you got that one wrong.
No, I didn't. You didn't ask me that question. You asked me if a dog can catch a cold.
Yes.
Not if a dog can catch a cold from a human.
No, but the answer is no.
No, that's not true, because my dog has had a cold.
No, your dog hasn't.
Yeah, he
dogs,
has.
No, this says quite specifically dogs can't catch colds.
No, it says he can't catch
No,
it
he
from
doesn't.
humans.
No, he doesn't. No, I've got the full answer
Well,
here.
I've got a dog and he's had a cold.
No, your
so
dog
you
hasn't
can
had a
stuff
cold.
your expert's book up your whatever it's called.
Maybe.
I'm not going to say it again.
Oh, I thought you found the word Jaxie amusing.
I do, but I didn't want to say it twice.
Right,
But
okay.
thank you for repeating it.
Now then, now here's one. Now, if your dog seems ill, can you give it a paracetamol?
You can certainly give a dog medicine and antibiotics. Paracetamol, I'm not sure, I would say. I'd ask the vet.
The answer is...
Can I ask the vet on that one?
You can ask the vet, Ask a vet, Ring the vet.
Ring the vet.
Right, human drugs are approved for humans, not dogs.
Oh, do you mean a human paracetamol?
Yes, of course I do.
Well,
you don't get dog paracetamol,
Of course
you idiot.
do.
Well, if I...
Of course you do. You get all sorts of drugs for dogs.
You are completed. If I'd have said, if your dog's ill, can you give it a dog paracetamol? You'd have said yes, because it's made for dogs.
Well, yeah, I suppose
But some idiotic owners actually just get a paracetamol out of the medicine chest and give it to your dog.
Well, I mean, the same goes for antibiotics. You get antibiotics for a dog, which you have to get from a vet. You can't get them from a doctor.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It says many human painkillers are poisonous to pets, and paracetamol, in particular, can cause stomach ulcers in the dog and give it kidney and liver failure.
So I got that one right as well, then.
Got it right, yeah. Never give a dog any drug unless told to do so by a vet. It is difficult to know if dogs can get headaches because we cannot ask them.
Yes.
But it is likely they can. If your pet is ill or has shown strange behaviour like sensitivity to light or sound, book a vet appointment as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Those are the 5 common myths about dogs which you need to get over before you are qualified to have a dog.
Right. Well, I think I did quite well with that.
I think
Wouldn't you say?
I think you did.
I know, reluctantly, you'll have to
reasonably.
admit that I did all right.
Reasonably well. But, I mean, did you know all that before you got your dog, or have you learnt it from your dog?
I would say...
This is the point.
Yeah, I would say I've learnt it. I mean, I did do a bit of reading before the dog arrived.
See, this is the point. Too many people...
I did do a bit of reading before the dog arrived.
Too many people take on a dog without knowing exactly how to care for it when they got the dog.
That's true. Same goes for people who have children. Some people have no clue as to what to do with children, and then they have them, and they either learn on the job
it's
or
all a mystery.
They mess it all up.
Yeah, it's all an absolute mystery.
Yeah, exactly right.
Right, now then, I was going to say to you
What were you going to say?
That the story I wanted to tell you about an animal, which you sort of...
Is this Animal Corner or something?
Well, it's not Animal Corner, but remember I said to you, I think I've seen a badger in my garden.
Oh, yeah, OK.
Now, what about
that? Is this recently?
Well, what happened was, 3 nights ago, right...
I think it's got TB.
Well, I don't know.
Did you not call for the cull of badgers?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I had a long debate with Brian May, didn't I? The guitarist from Queen.
Who does not want the cull.
Who does not want the cull.
And you do.
Well, I just don't want herds of cows to be put down because they've got tuberculosis, which is carried by badgers. But anyway, look, point story is this.
Yeah.
The other night, right, bearing in mind I'm in a penthouse, so I'm quite far from the ground, OK?
Well, maybe by the time the roof's finished falling in, you'll be a bit lower down.
You could be absolutely right.
Yeah.
That is a major problem, which I've got to address tomorrow, and I'm very angry about it because, you know, if you're in a building, it starts crumbling. It's a big problem. Now then, what was I going to say? Yes, I was going to say this, that I looked down from the window at the top of my place.
Yeah.
And I saw what I thought initially was a fox foraging around between the wheels of a parked car.
OK.
And I think that's unusual for a fox. They don't usually do that. Foxes keep to the hedgerows and bushes.
Well, I mean, I see them just running around the streets in every kind of part of London, really.
Yes, well, I agree with that, but you don't see them foraging like that.
Not so much, I
And
suppose.
also, it looked like a really sort of furry fox.
Yeah.
Really furry fox.
The foxes that we see in London are pretty mangy.
Yeah. But it was dusk and the light was coming down. And I thought, you know, I'm not sure that is a fox. Anyway, so I thought about it. I thought, could it be a badger? Anyway, coming out tonight, right, what happens is my car comes out of an underground car park, up a slope and around to the right, and it keeps coming up, and then it levels out, and it comes under an archway where the door entrance to the block is, and on the left there is another expanse of foliage, right? And
A hedge, you mean?
No, an expanse of lawn, really, before it goes to a hedge.
Okay.
And as the headlights came round, I caught an animal there, startled it, and it definitely wasn't a fox.
Yeah.
And I think it was a badger.
Was it black and white?
Well, that was hard to tell because it was very dark tonight and it was raining, right? But I mean, I'm sure it wasn't a fox. I'm sure it was a badger.
Yeah,
I think it was a badger.
Could be.
But I mean, I didn't know we had urban badgers. I thought badgers still only lived in fields.
I think the problem is that because of the way that maybe the world has changed. Badgers might be coming to where the food is, which is in the city.
Maybe
they can't get any more food because there's more building going on in the countryside.
And I'm going to go on a badger hunt tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm going to see if I can find a set or something like that and see if there's a badger around.
You know what a badger set looks like?
Well, it looks like a hole in the ground, doesn't it?
Well, it usually looks like a few holes.
Few holes, okay.
And it's normally in a kind of piece of raised ground.
But badgers are quite vicious and strong.
They can be.
They could attack foxes, couldn't they?
Well, in self-defence.
Maybe they'd attack a cat. Might attack a cat.
They might attack you.
They wouldn't attack me.
They might do.
No.
You might want to be careful if they're carrying TB.
Oh, well, I wouldn't like to get bitten by a badger, but I radiate ambience to all creatures, all God's creatures.
What, even the ones that you spray with ammonia?
No, I don't spray them with ammonia. I just like ammonia in the air to keep it away. Listen, do you know who Ho Chi Minh is?
I do know who Ho Chi Minh is.
Go on, tell me.
Was he not one of the horrible dictators from Southeast Asia in Vietnam during the Vietnam period? And in fact, Ho Chi Minh City used to be Saigon, did it not?
That's right, yeah. No, you're absolutely right, yeah. But
he was the guy that was the great sort of figure that Kennedy and everybody else wanted to kill off, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, I think the CIA had the same plans for him as they had for Fidel Castro, but they never quite got round to achieving.
Yeah, that's the thing I didn't tell you about actually. Just to segue off into Cuba. When I was at the airport in Mexico flying back, the counter next to us where we were checking in was going to Cuba.
Really?
And you never seen anything like the stuff that was being loaded onto this plane. Yeah. Everyone that was going back to Cuba from Mexico was carrying things like microwave ovens. Televisions, things that presumably they find very hard to get still in Cuba. One guy had 4 massive kind of tyres for like a Land Rover or something like that.
Really?
And he was just putting them on as like hand luggage.
And were they allowing all this to happen?
Yeah,
all this gear going on the plane?
Yeah, everyone who was flying from Cancun to Cuba, they kept literally turning up with trolley loads of stuff.
Yeah.
And, we were thinking, standing there going, hang on a second, our airline's not allowing us on with anything more than 20 kilos of...
That's right, one-hand luggage and all that.
Yeah.
Was this Air Cuba?
It wasn't Air Cuba, it was called something else. I can't remember the name of it, but I mean, it shows that despite the fact that the embargo's been lifted, people are still flying out of Cuba to get stuff and flying back in.
Exactly, but of course it's all open. They've got open doors now, haven't they? Cuba, like you can take. They weren't even allowed to fly to Florida, were they? Until about 3 weeks ago.
No, that's right. Yeah,
but I think they can now. Now, the reason I mentioned Ho Chi Minh is because, for some unknown reason, right, and I'd love an explanation from these people. There's a town called New Haven.
Oh yeah,
down in where is New Haven?
Sussex.
Is it Sussex?
New Haven,
That's
Sussex. I think it's a ferry port. Actually, you get ferries from New Haven over to France.
It's New Haven to Dieppe.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. And for some unknown reason, they're building another statue of Ho Chi Minh.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
Well, in New Haven.
In New Haven. Well, this is what local people are asking. Why are we spending money on building a statue of Ho Chi Minh?
No, how bizarre.
And the mayor of New Haven says the project will not be paid for by taxpayers.
Well, he's paid for himself, is he?
No, well, no.
Mr. Ho.
No, listen, this is his excuse. He says it won't be paid, but it'll be brilliant to boost tourism links with Vietnam.
Really?
I mean,
Vietnam is now a huge tourist destination. Lots of people go there,
Exactly. But do you think that if they go parading around Vietnam and saying, come to New Haven, it's great, anybody would go there?
I can't imagine, why you'd want to boost links. But, I mean, this is what goes on all the time, isn't it? You go to these towns in some part of England and you go twinned with, some ridiculous part of, the world, whether it's somewhere in Europe or somewhere elsewhere. And you just wonder, why is all that done?
Oh, hang on. I've just found out why they're doing this.
Yeah.
This is New Haven Town Council is running a competition to design a tribute statue to Ho Chi Minh,
right?
Because they found evidence that he was a pastry chef on the New Haven to Dieppe ferry after the First World War.
Blimey.
That's a bit of a
pastry chef.
Yeah, I mean,
how bizarre!
Isn't that a stretching the association with the town a little bit far?
Well, I think it is. It says, from what I'm reading here, that he had his political education in France.
Yeah.
At various points between 1913 and 1919, Ho Chi Minh, whose real name is something completely different that I'm not really sure I can pronounce.
Yeah.
It says they claim that he lived in West Ealing and later in Crouch End.
Crouch End.
He reportedly worked either as a chef or a dishwasher at the Drayton Court Hotel in West Ealing. It doesn't say anything about New Haven.
And then became leader of Vietnam.
Yeah, it's claimed that he trained as a pastry chef under Auguste Escoffier at the Carlton Hotel in the Haymarket.
Really?
But there is no evidence to support this.
Anyway, this is the third statue they've built for him in New Haven. Right. So they're really... Ho Chi Minh's big in New Haven. It'll be the East Sussex third tribute to him. They also have a banner and a small statue that have been in place for several years. Unbelievable. But anyway, look, what I was going to say to you was, when I saw this, I thought, how ridiculous that there should be a link between New Haven and Vietnam. But I looked into Ho Chi Minh's history. When he finished being a pastry chef in the Haymarket and working on the New Haven Dieppe ferry... and then became leader of Vietnam. He then went on to massacre millions of people. Did you know that?
Yeah, well, I believe so, yeah.
He was an horrendous dictator, and why they're putting up statues for him. But I tell you what, I went to one of this country's great schools, the King's School, Chester.
Well, so you keep saying.
Now, did you have the same at your school? Whenever an election came round, general election or local elections or something like that, we all started, putting on rosettes, supporting whichever party that your mum and dad supported and all that kind of stuff.
No, we didn't do any of that.
Or we invented our own parties, and I invented my own party.
Did you? No, how surprising.
I did,
Was it the Mike Parry party?
It was, actually.
Yeah.
It was.
Did you get any votes?
Yeah, of course I did. No, I won the election in the school. Everybody voted for me because I had such...
You managed to with the winners and losers. You gerrymandered it.
No.
Did you pay people to vote for you?
No,
That's a sort of a scandal.
I had radical policies, don't worry. Really radical policies, about...
Like what?
Well, things like, lowering the age of getting a... hang on.
Getting a drink.
No, a driving test. A driving test to 16.
Right.
Because, we used to coming to school in our parents' cars and all that kind of stuff, I also... the one that I got voted massively for was to turn our school co-educational. So we could have girls at school as well as boys.
So basically it was all about driving and picking up women and drinking.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Very popular.
And in fact, funny enough, I did want to lower the age of drinking as well to 14.
Right.
Because I thought that would, the French-style thing.
Yeah.
I got that idea from my French teacher because he said they all drink wine in France from the age of 12 or something like that. But anyway, the point of my story is...
What is the point of your story?
The point of the story is that, so I suppose I was sort of middling to right, if you see what I mean. I didn't have any sort of daft left-wing policies.
No.
I didn't want to charge people 95
Well,
pence
you've
in
never
the pound.
left-wing ever in your life.
Not really, I don't think.
Because, I think most people, when they were young at some point, were left-wing, weren't they?
This is the very point of my story.
Yeah.
There were a group there, and they came from the better households. Their parents were wealthy farmers or
merchants.
Or they worked in the shipping industry in Liverpool or something like that, and were wealthy and all that kind of stuff and lived up the Wirral in big houses. And all these kids all went around chanting during our school election, ho, ho, Ho Chi Minh, ho, ho, Ho Chi Minh.
Was he running as well?
No, he wasn't running, but they were the Ho Chi Minh party, because he was the leader of Vietnam at the time, right?
Yeah, and they were anti-American, probably.
They were anti-American. Right. They thought Ho Chi Minh was brilliant. When I pointed out that he'd killed about, 3 million of his own people by starving them to death, ho, ho, Ho Chi Minh,
amazing, isn't it?
Ho Chi Minh. So anyway, what I did was I got a load of heavies to go and beat a few of them up.
Heavies?
Yeah, that's
it's a shocking admission.
No, it wasn't.
Another petty crime admission.
Well, not really to beat them up, but I mean...
When you say heavies, you mean people from outside the school?
No, I mean, bigger schoolboys, you know what I mean?
Your boot boys?
Yeah, my boot boys, yeah, that's right. Guys who used to...
Were you like some kind of a gang leader then?
Not really, but I mean, during the election, I had such powers of leadership, even as a teenager.
Sounds like something would happen in Zimbabwe. This not in the King's School, Chester.
No. Even as a teenager, I had extreme powers of leadership. Because obviously I was going to be a leader of men. Yeah. And so the guys would follow me around, and we had blue and white rosettes because that was Everton's colours. So I insisted that we had the same colours. And
I don't know how you would get away with any of this. If you were in my school, I would have told you to go take a running jump.
Oh no! But I had a circle of minders, you see, around me, and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Who took pride in looking after my.
It's crime watch all over again.
Who took pride in looking after my well-being. No. But the ones I really hated were the Ho Chi Minhers. And they called themselves the Ho Chi Minh Party.
How bizarre.
How crazy is that?
That's very weird.
But that was what's it called in when you're a teenage rebel and all that. They were rebelling
Rebel
against...
without a clue.
Rebel without a clue, that's right, something like that. But I always thought it was very odd. And, no, I never beat anybody up, obviously, for obvious
hopefully
reasons.
not.
But it was...
you just had other people doing it.
Used to go and smash up their placards and that kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
That's absolutely awful.
No, it's not.
You're not much of a Democrat, really, are you?
Well, yes, I am, but I just don't think that if you're opposing a nasty, vicious dictator, I think you have a duty to democracy to go.
He's in Vietnam, though, long way away.
Get heavy with him. Yeah, I know, but these idiots were talking about going to Vietnam.
Lucky you didn't know about his connection with New Haven. You might have gone down there and caused a bit of trouble.
That's true, yeah, and smashed up his statue or something like that.
It's quite a sort of move, isn't it, from pastry chef to, military dictator.
Yeah, but funny enough, they call Hitler an Everton fan.
What?
Because they claim they've got evidence. They claim they've got evidence that Hitler once went to Goodison Park.
Oh, dear.
They apparently have got evidence that he stayed in Liverpool on occasion and that he might have gone to Goodison Park.
Right.
I mean, that's the disclaimer of all times.
It is.
No, he didn't.
Right.
And no, we didn't want him.
No, quite. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Coming up, Ask Porky very, very soon. So you're running out of time. If you want to get a question in, just tweet it at the two mics. And a couple of quick tweets to read out to you. There's one from Roy who says, most Latin American airlines let you take pretty much anything. Usually Venezuelans have at least 7 checked bags from MIA. Not sure what MIA means. Magoo says, Grill Graham is a success. I presume he's talking about you giving me that quiz on dogs. He says, the guy can twist anything. Genius.
Yes, who's a genius?
I think he means me.
No, I think he means me.
No.
I think he means me.
And Francis says, I kind of agree with Porky for once that it's such a dishonourable way to treat the remains of a pet. I think he's talking about the goldfish.
Exactly.
scenario.
I think it's disgusting. And so I'd have thrown it in a field and people said, that's inhuman. It's not.
It is.
You're returning the fish back to nature. So
same thing as if you put it into the water system.
In the sort of day we've had in the last couple of days where the fields are lush and wet with rain and all that, I would have hurled the fish in the field so that it merged with nature, it would have decomposed, it would have gone back to the soil. Now, that would have been the T.S. Eliot poem, wouldn't it?
Back to the soil?
No, I can show you fear in a handful of dust. What did that come from?
I don't know. Tell
the
me.
Wasteland.
Okay.
The Wasteland.
Well, you do know a lot more about poetry than I do.
Well, I do, because that's where the expression came from, between rock and a hard place.
Oh, you know. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now then, listen, you know
There's
what?
a bit of a gap in my cultural knowledge, actually, poetry.
There's plenty of gaps in your cultural knowledge, pal. Now,
by the way, we haven't talked about the quiz this week. We don't know what we're going to do the quiz on.
The quiz?
Yeah, on Thursday night. Yeah. The Porky quiz. You may give it some thought. You don't have to tell me now.
No, I'm thinking.
All right.
I'm thinking maybe we'll do it on Mexico.
On Mexico?
Because you were there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah?
I'll go for that.
A quiz on Mexico.
I'll tell the independent
yes,
quizmasters.
Yes.
Quiz on Mexico.
Quiz on Mexico. Okay.
Right. No
I'll prove I know more about Mexico than you did, and you've just been there on holiday.
Okay.
Now then, the reason we played that song was a number of reasons. Satisfaction, that's right. Now then, I was reading a piece about Keith Richards.
Yes.
And probably the world's most famous rocker. I suppose Paul McCartney is Sir Paul McCartney.
Well, he's certainly one of the most famous.
Yeah, exactly. And he sometimes takes his guitar to bed with him.
Does he?
He now says it's almost like his left arm, you know what I mean? And he's with it all the time. And I suppose when you've been a musician as long as he has, like over 50 years, I suppose that at any time you might feel the urge to pluck a few strings or something like that, and that puts a song into your head or something like that.
Well, the guitar's like an extension of your personality.
Well, exactly, that's what I'm saying, yeah. But he says that his wife has started objecting. They've been married 30 years to the lady he's married to. I don't know if he's married before. And she objects to having this guitar in bed. Which you can understand.
Yeah.
You know, it can be
it's quite pointy,
an incumbent sort of presence, isn't it, in the marital bed?
Indeed.
But anyway, what the interesting thing was that he said 50 years ago he was still going to bed with his guitar, but he woke up one morning.
Yeah.
And in those years, he and Jagger, of course, were in the embryonic stage of the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
So they saved up 10 shillings and bought a little tape recorder.
Uh-huh.
Now, I remember my sister had one of these, a tiny little thing with small reel-to-reel tapes.
Yeah, so before the days of the cassette, then?
Long before the days. Nobody had ever heard what a cassette was.
Right.
And a little microphone, and you talked into it, and then you stopped it, and you played it back, and then you heard your own voice on it.
Okay.
It was a miracle. It was absolutely miracle.
Was it more like a dictaphone than anything else?
It wasn't as small as a dictaphone.
Yeah.
It was about the size of a sort of bedside alarm clock, if you see what I mean, you know.
Because when I was at university, one of my mates who was an electrical engineer, who studied electrical engineering, was fascinated by all this. He had a UHER. Remember them?
No.
UHER. It was like a sort of the first reel-to-reel kind of high-quality tape recorder, but it was portable.
Yeah.
And it was only portable if you happened to be quite strong.
Yeah,
you had
exactly.
A big strap on it, and it was about the size of that computer screen.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Carried it
and
around.
it was very heavy.
Yeah, but anyway, the point of the story is, and this is a great piece of sort of rock memorabilia and all that kind of stuff. Is he said he woke up one morning.
Yeah.
And he noticed that one of the buttons on his recorder, which was always next to his bed, had been pressed.
Right.
So he played it back, and he heard the first few bars of Satisfaction.
Right. What, he played it on his guitar?
He'd played it on his guitar in the middle of the night and had no recollection of it whatsoever. Really? Now, of course, in those days, he may have been ingesting nefarious substances.
He may well have been, yeah.
I mean, it's not libelous to say he has been for most of his life.
He's been, he's been pretty candid about that.
Very open and honest about it. But, when you think about it, that is the way genius expresses itself, isn't it? Even subliminally.
Do you never get up in the middle of the night and write things down? Or, find that you've done something that you don't remember doing?
No, I do, yeah.
Because they say that's what you should do with dreams, that you should, if you have a dream that's particularly, spellbinding or interesting or whatever, that if you write it down and then go back to sleep, that's the way to remember it, because otherwise you won't remember it.
Why would you want to remember it?
Well, you might want to be interested in what you're dreaming about.
No, I don't think so.
Really? Do you not have an interest in that?
I wake up some mornings and think, golly, that was a fascinating dream. Yeah. Sometimes.
But then you forget it immediately, don't you?
Yeah, but I don't want to remember it. Why would you? Unless it's real, I wouldn't want to remember it.
It might give you an insight into your subconscious.
No, I don't think so. You can't interpret dreams. No, dreams come from a part of the brain that has not yet been explored, even by neurologists.
Well, yeah, but it's part of your subconscious. Therefore, it might be something that would, allay your fears or amplify your fears or tell you something about what you're thinking when you're not awake.
The brain inside your head, by comparative terms, is as big as the universe.
Eh?
It's as big as the universe.
How do you mean?
Well, what I mean is that if you fired a rocket off Earth with limitless amounts of fuel...
Yeah.
It would still be heading across the universe in 1,000 years' time.
Right.
Because that's how big it is.
Yeah.
And that's how big your brain is comparatively.
Comparative what, though?
Comparatively to what we know about the brain, there are areas of it which we haven't... only 1% of the brain is known about to a neurologist. You know that?
Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm not sure about that.
And so nobody knows where dreams come from. But anyway, look, the reason I was saying that and linking this Keith Richards thing is because I also came across a document... one of my health magazines, okay?
One of your quarterlies.
Which says this: if you're tense, moody or anxious, don't worry, you could be part of an elite club that spells genius and may include such luminary figures as Vincent van Gogh and Sir Isaac Newton. Now, you sometimes accuse me of being tense, moody and anxious.
Yes.
Right?
Well, it doesn't mean you're a genius.
Well, it could do.
Well, it could do. But it could also not.
It says
Are you telling me that everyone who's tense, moody and anxious is a genius?
No, but some could be.
Right.
You see, I've always felt that
Van Gaal seems to be tense, moody and anxious quite a lot, doesn't he?
He does, actually.
Maybe he's a genius.
Maybe
And he's also Dutch.
Maybe, well, he is, you're absolutely right. So you mean like the Van Gogh connection, yeah. But no, I've always believed that I probably am a genius, but I'm still trying to work out at what. Do you see what I mean? That's the difficulty.
I think that's a very good summation of where you are in life.
Yeah, okay, fine. Now, it says...
What do you suspect you're a genius at? I mean, you presumably could rule
something creative.
You can rule certain things out. For example, when you've said in the past Wayne Rooney is a genius, obviously he's a footballing genius as far as you're concerned.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, you wouldn't describe yourself as that, would you?
Well, of course I'm not a footballing genius.
That's what I mean.
Because I'm not very good at football.
That's what I mean. So you can rule certain things out.
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, but I mean,
you're not a scientific genius.
I could be a literary genius. I mean, I could literally sit down one day and write that book. You know what I mean? Or maybe that poem.
Don't write any more books.
Or I mean, have you ever picked up a guitar?
I have, but I could never play one.
I was going to say, you ever feel comfortable with it?
No, I used to play the violin, as I've told you.
Me that. Keep telling me.
And although it's a stringed instrument, what do you mean a load of rubbish?
Play the violin.
I've got, certificates to prove it.
Oh, yeah, and if I brought in a violin now, what could you play on it?
I haven't played it for a long time, but I mean, I could probably play something on it.
Could you play... Do you remember a record called Jigga Jig when we were teenagers?
No. We were never teenagers at the same time.
Well, so we kind of were. Anyway, let me go on here, please. Scientists believe that neurotic misery... I don't know what you're laughing at. What's the problem?
Nothing.
Right. Scientists believe that neurotic misery and a vivid imagination go hand in hand.
There you go.
It could explain...
Well, having a vivid imagination doesn't make you a genius either.
Hang on. It could explain why so many original thinkers, such as the famously highly strung Van Gogh, suffered for their art.
Right.
OK?
Well, he was mad as well, wasn't he?
Now, this researcher, I got this from, a guy called Adam Perkins, who is from King's College London, rated the 14th best university in the world.
Very nice place, that.
Yes. Thinks he knows what fueled their brilliance.
Uh-huh.
The problem was they did too much thinking.
Right.
And his theory states neurotics have overactive imaginations that blow threats out of all proportion.
Mm-hmm.
OK?
Yes.
Now, I can see that. I can see that. I fear for the world all the time.
Well, do you think you're neurotic, then?
No, I'm not neurotic.
Well, you've just said you think you are.
No, I didn't. I said I think very much. I think a lot all the time.
Right, well, you've just described a neurotic there.
No.
Somebody who overthinks.
No. No, brilliance can be fuelled by the fact that there's a lot of thinking going on, OK?
Yeah.
But then what happens is with these people who think an awful lot and blow threats out of proportion, they then brood on how to solve the problem. But that in itself sparks their creativity. You see? And that could have been John Lennon's genius.
It could.
That he had problems in the world, like losing his mother when he was a teenager and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
you know what I mean?
The thing is, if you are somebody who spends a lot of time not doing a normal job, if you like, then you tend to have a lot of time to think. I mean, like doing what you and I do, we tend to have quite a lot of time to think. I mean, if you're, say, for example, driving...
No, I don't.
What do you mean, don't?
I find myself very busy all the time. I don't do a lot of thinking.
Really?
No.
You don't do a lot of thinking?
No. Well, I mean, I do a lot of preparation for our shows because I like to be on top of my subjects.
Do you not do a lot of pondering of things? Or?
Well, I think things through to get them right.
Yeah, that's
what I mean. At the moment, I'm thinking through how to mend a broken ceiling.
Well, that's not very sort of creative, is it?
Exactly. That's not exactly Sir Isaac Newton territory, is it? You know what I mean? And anyway, look, just to finish this off, this has all come from a book that Dr. Perkins has written.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all outlined in the journal Trends in Cognitive Sciences. What are you laughing at?
It's a very popular periodical in the Parry household.
Yes, that's right. Journal Trends in Cognitive Sciences.
Right. Marvellous.
If you score high on neuroticism...
Right. Neuroticism.
Oh, sorry, neuroticism. neuroticism. If you score high on neuroticism...
About eroticism?
No, neuroticism, you are at risk of anxiety disorders.
Really?
But...
Well, is there a test we can give you?
Well, no. But you have to suffer those anxiety disorders to develop your creativity.
Well, that's fine.
So that's why a lot of geniuses are,
neurotic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And appear to be mad.
There in the end.
They appear to be mad, but they're not. They're just deep thinkers.
Right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I thought you'd like to know all that because that explains a lot of problems I had throughout my life. I couldn't realise why I was so good, and now I found out. If you see what I mean? Huh?
I do. Thank goodness for Dr. Kelly, or whatever his name is.
No, his name's Dr. Perkins.
Yeah, top man. It's a chance to put a question to Mr. Parry, whether it's some help you need with a particular vexing problem, whether it's a personal problem, whether it's a quandary that you face, or whether in some way you just want some advice. Mr. Parry, the Porkmeister, is here to help. As ever, we've got a whole bunch of questions that we've got for various people, and we're going to start off with a couple of sporting-related ones, actually. This one from David, who is on Twitter. He sent this in at the two mics. He says, I'd just like to ask, now that the deadline is done, who do you think will get the European places in the Premier League?
The European places in
so the top four, I guess he's talking about, or maybe the Europa League as well.
This season?
Yes.
This season?
Yes, this season.
We've only played 4 games.
Yeah, I know, but the transfer window's closed, right? The deadline's gone, so nothing much generally happens in January.
Yeah.
I mean, some people would have said, well, now we know who everybody's got, basically.
Yeah.
That's why you can now say with some
well, I mean, that's not a very challenging question because you would say, wouldn't you, Manchester City, Chelsea, Arsenal.
Well, Chelsea are nowhere near the top 4.
And another. Yeah, well, I mean, they're going to be, aren't they? I mean, that's just a blip, isn't it?
I don't know.
That's just Jose's
protest.
protest.
So you're not one of those who goes with the fact that maybe one of these other teams will break in?
No, definitely not. Swansea won't be there, I'm afraid, and neither will Leicester. That's obvious, although they might finish, respectively 6th, 7th, 8th, something like that, if they have a great season. That can happen on a one-off season for those clubs, but basically it resorts to norm. What will happen is, I think the managers of clubs like Swansea, Gary Monk in particular, will find themselves subject to offers from clubs which achieve greater things because they're bigger clubs with bigger budgets.
And maybe who find themselves without managers by Christmas.
Yes, absolutely. But we all know.
So you think City, Chelsea, Arsenal, and one other?
Yes, exactly.
Right. Well, it's not very imaginative, is it?
And the one other, I don't know whether it's going to be Manchester United, Liverpool, if it's going to be a club that's going to steam up there and do it. Or is it going to be a complete surprise? Could it be Swansea?
That's what we're asking you.
Could it be Swansea?
Well, you can answer the question.
Well, it could be Swansea.
Could be Swansea.
Could be.
So you think Swansea are in the top 4, maybe?
Maybe.
Okay, we won't press you on that one. Here's one from Adam. He says, I've recently come into some money. What's the quickest way to become a snob?
Well, you shouldn't be a snob. Nobody should have an ambition to be a snob. Because in my view, snobs are...
No, you're a snob.
No, I'm not. No, I'm a man of the people. Snobs are very unpleasant people. They tend to grate on the nerves of the average man, of which I'm one. And I would have any ambitions to be a snob. However, you don't have to regard yourself as a snob just to improve your status in life or your standard of living. So the first thing I would do, if you've got enough money, I don't know how much you're talking about inheriting some, is go out and buy a Rolex watch. Anybody who wears a Rolex watch is a good person.
What?
A good person.
That's rubbish.
Anybody who wears a Rolex watch is a person of substance. Taylor Bradford, I've forgotten her first name now, Barbara Taylor Bradford, who I met in her once in her New York penthouse, right? Who wrote Woman of Substance, a film which starred Jenny Seagrove, by the way.
One of your thespian friends.
Yes, one of my thespian friends. Always said that, jewellery...
Can you hurry up a bit? We've only got 2
jewellery was
questions
very
so far.
important, and a Rolex watch is important for a man.
All right.
Yeah.
OK, question number 3. This comes from somebody who calls themselves Vote for Porky.
Oh,
so
excellent.
On your side.
Good.
Porky, he says, has your life ever flashed before your eyes? I mean, have you ever nearly died?
Yes, once. I was in Acapulco, which I've told you about in Mexico, which is the quiz this week, by the way, and I was walking down a beach with a young lady I'd made an acquaintance with
secretary?
in Acapulco. No, Sean, she was a lawyer.
Really?
She was a solicitor from Enfield. And, I don't know what
Where did you meet her?
In Acapulco.
Really?
Yeah, I'm in Acapulco.
Going loco.
Yeah, going loco. Been on the margaritas all afternoon.
Yeah.
Walking along the beach, and I suddenly decided to impress her how macho I was.
Yeah.
So I plunged into the sea.
Oh, dear.
Unfortunately, all the red flags were up because the tides were too dangerous, and I was dragged out to sea. And I was tumbling around literally on the sea bed,
right.
And I was going to die. I knew I was going to die.
Riptide had got you.
Riptide had got me. I was going to die.
Did she come in and save you?
No. What happened was...
She carried on walking.
I could just about see daylight in the sea above me. It was about 12 feet above me, and I definitely thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, my last thought was, this is going to really make my mum a bit fed up,
Well, it certainly
Because
is.
I'm drowning.
Still, on the upside, there'll be a lot of people who'd be quite happy about it.
Oh, that's very nice, isn't it? Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the milk of humankind.
Back
And
home.
anyway, what happened was...
And probably the solicitor's husband as well.
What happened was, all of a sudden then, these 2 guys plunged into the sea and rescued me. They were beach bums who used to sit on a wall, watch for idiots like me plunging into the sea, and then plunge into the sea and save them. And I got charged $25 for each one, US dollars for each one for saving me.
Right.
They pulled me out and pumped my chest and all the water came out my mouth and all that kind of stuff.
Dear me.
So
You've told this story before.
Yeah, well, I forgot about it. But and she was running up and down the beach, by the way, saying, "Oh, he's drowning, he's drowning," which I was, because I was sucked under.
Right. What about the time your heart stopped?
Well, I was given 36 hours to live, so that wasn't quite dying.
Okay.
This was almost instant death.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Here's one from Jonathan.
Yeah.
It says, if Mr. Porky Parry was in charge of the world, what would be his most important campaign?
My most important campaign would be to eradicate world hunger, and the way you do that is to get rid of dictators, and that is people that run countries for their own... Oh, it's another campaign.
That's the campaign alarm, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Who run countries for their own benefit to build palaces, and they starve their own people, either deliberately politically to put their people down, or because they couldn't care less about the incompetence of their economic management, which leads to starvation. That is the answer.
Right. Here's a good one from Karen's dad. Says, I bought my wife Simply Red tickets for her birthday, but the Michaels, Graham and Parry were in Glasgow the same night. How can I go to the 2 mics?
Don't. Sorry.
What do you mean, don't?
No, I thought you were going to say...
Tell him not to go to the 2 mics.
I thought you were going to say, how do I go to the 2 concerts or the 2 shows? So I anticipated that. Predictive text, okay?
Okay.
What I'd say
Predictive brain.
Come to see the 2 mics because we're quite unique. You haven't seen our show before. You can go and see old Mick Hucknall and Simply Red anytime you like. And also, remember this, you can go into any record shop anywhere in the world and buy a Simply Red record. Probably.
There are not many record shops left, are there?
No, there's not many record shops left, and there's not many people who want to buy any Simply Red records anymore, frankly, because they're a bit old hat now. Whereas we're not. We're fresh, we're new. Come and see us. We'll put a smile on your face for the next month after you see our show, and you will then be able to buy, by the way, the DVD of the 2 mics at their best. What are we going to call it again? 2 mics best hits or something like that.
I don't know.
Or the best of the 2 mics, and that will give you...
What are you talking about?
Well, I'll give you a chuckle every day.
Yeah, OK. Right, here's one from somebody who I think is having a bit of a laugh. Okay. I have trouble in shops. I walk in, look around for hours, then panic and leave. Please help. Arson.
Yeah, arson.
Yeah, as in Arsene Wenger.
Arsene Wenger. Yeah, OK, yes. I didn't see it. So he probably didn't see anything on the shelves worth buying. No, I know what you're saying.
I think maybe a frustrated Arsenal fan.
The point is, I saw a picture there. I think it must have been a spoof of Arsene Wenger on a water slide. I mean,
I suspect it wasn't a real picture.
Have you seen the picture?
I haven't, no.
Yeah,
I can't imagine he was on a water slide on transfer deadline day.
I wouldn't.
Seems a bit unlikely.
I totally agree. I totally agree, yeah. And I thought that's probably a fake.
Yeah.
But anyway, the answer to that is, as I'm not an Arsenal fan, they've got to make up their own mind. All I would say to Arsene Wenger is, what was the point of giving Theo Walcott a new contract with a big increase in salary, which he richly deserves, and then put him on the bench every week? Until last week, you were forced to pull him off and play him. I would say play Theo.
Matt says this, as a fairly new dad, I would like to ask Porky where he holidayed as a child and when he was growing up. I want some ideas.
We used to go to Butlins in Pwllheli, which is in North Wales, in Filey, which is in Yorkshire, and in Bognor Regis, which is in Sussex. And Butlins was great.
Butlins?
It was always Butlins. Yeah. But Butlins, you see, in those days, was a bit like your Cancun these days.
I don't think so.
Everything was paid for.
Yeah, well, I think that's where the
all the
similarities
playgrounds were free,
ended,
and all the water scheme was free. Everything was free, and that's why Billy Butlin made his money. And the only thing that I would say about Billy Butlin is he let the country down badly on was it July the 31st, 1966, which was the day of the World Cup final.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad made a terrible mistake. He said we can either stay at home and watch the cup final and then go to Butlins later on. And I'm not sure which one we're going to. I think it was Filey in Yorkshire. Or we can go there early and get ourselves a seat in the theatre where no doubt it'll be on a big screen.
Now,
so we went early and it didn't work.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Here's an interesting one from Vaughan. He says, be honest, did you miss old MG and more importantly, why?
Well, I missed being on air. I'd like to have been on air while MG was away, but it wasn't to be, so forget about that. Did I miss MG? Well, not really, because I think it was very beneficial for him to take his family away, have a nice holiday for 2 weeks. It turned out very successfully, so I'm pleased for that. And now we get down to the business of conquering the world.
And here's one from Paul. I'm going to have to reword this one slightly because he hasn't been terribly delicate in the way that he's done it. He says, I no longer fancy Rogerisation with my missus.
Yes.
As she's put on a bit of weight. What should I do?
I would try a bit harder, mate. And in fact, I would go to your wife and say to her in very loving and polite terms, I'm starting not to find you as attractive as I did because you put on too much weight. Please can you lose some weight? I'm going to do it with you. And we will now conduct a huge 6-month campaign of dietary requirements, exercise, and find the people we were when we first met, and the spark of romance and love was at its height. We're going to get that back, baby. Stick with me.
That's quite good advice, actually. Woodenhead says this. Some fat, greedy stranger keeps buying up all the tickets on my pub meat raffle. What should we do to stop this injustice?
Well, I'd get there first before the fat stranger does, if I were you. I've now got a huge record of success in the meat raffle down in...
That's because you buy all the tickets.
Sorry. Well, it is, actually. Yeah, it is.
I mean, nobody else can get any.
Well, that's not true, but I mean, it's success by numbers. So if I were you, I would just get in there before the other guy does. That's the secret of life, by the way. Get your punch in before he punches you. Yeah.
Final one from Lee.
Yeah.
It says, Porky, will you let me buy you a pina colada in Birmingham on Friday the 13th?
I want a pina colada.
By
yes,
Rupert
of course.
Holmes.
Yes, of course I will. In fact, look, I'm very much looking forward to seeing the audience afterwards. We tried to do that last time we were in Birmingham, but unfortunately...
They shut the bar, didn't
they? They shut the bar. There was a bar restriction. But we will be around on Friday the 13th. Looking forward very much to coming back to the Birmingham Rep.
Yes, indeed. That was Ask Porky. Thank you very much for all your questions. If we didn't get to yours, don't worry. We've got a whole bank of them here that we keep for use maybe down the line.
Absolutely.
When we've got more time to stick a few more in. But we'll be doing the same thing, same time next week. Tomorrow night, of course, is Porky Vision.
It is.
The greatest TV review this side of Saturn.
Yes.
And then we've got Porky Quiz on Mexico coming up on Thursday.
Mexico!
This is TalkSport.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
A terrific performance.
Turn of pace and eye for goal.
Shout about it.
TalkSport.
Riding over you in the morning, riding over you in the evening, riding over you.
This is TalkSport. We are the two mics. Don't forget there will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on this morning, probably in about 5 or 6 hours from now. Great tweet here, actually, from Dennis, who says, whilst drowning in strong riptide, Porky was saved, in inverted commas, by 2 beach bums, a.k.a. lifeguards.
Oh, well, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
Not very good, that. Now, that song Crying
Yes.
by UB40. Do you remember UB40?
Sort of.
Yeah, they were that sort of band from the Midlands, weren't they? Who named themselves after the unemployment form.
Oh, is that right?
Called a UB40, yeah.
There was also a band around at the same time called 4x2. Right.
You're not thinking of level 42?
No, they were called 4B2.
Right.
And the reason was, because I met their manager, he lost his eye when he worked in a sawmill where they cut up bits of wood.
Right.
And
you call those bits of wood 4x2?
4x2, and it shot off the sawmill and took his eye out.
Oh, dear.
Seriously, yeah.
It's not a very nice story.
No, it's not.
Well,
no.
talking about eyes, the reason that I wanted to hear that crying song is because you're fond of some studies that you sometimes find in your psychological journals. There was one in one of the papers today which said that if you actually cry watching movies, that you may actually be a happier person than people who don't cry at movies. So
really?
I was going to ask you whether you ever cried at movies.
No, never.
You never cry?
I've never cried at a movie.
Really?
The last movie I cried at...
You must have watched some of those kind of real, heart-rending stories.
Well, what like?
Well, like, I don't know, Love Story. Maybe
Love Story? I never went to see Love Story.
You never saw Love Story?
Well,
I didn't cry at that. I'll tell you a film that I cry regularly at, and it's something I watch quite regularly, is Deer Hunter.
Why do you cry on that?
Because it's really sad.
What's sad about it?
Well, what do you mean what's sad about it? It's about the devastation of a community during the Vietnam War in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Because, the young men went off to fight.
Yes.
One of them comes back, as a paraplegic, having lost his leg. One of them comes back. One of them doesn't come back, except he comes back in a coffin.
Yeah.
Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
And the final scene, when they're all sitting around the table singing God Bless America... Because they're not really sure whether they want to say "God Bless America" or not. I find that incredibly touching.
Really,
I always cry at the end of that.
Do you?
Yeah. Doesn't that not affect you?
No, I'm not emotionless, but I don't cry at film. The last film I can remember crying at, and I do remember crying at, was Dumbo.
Dumbo.
Yeah, seriously. When I was about
when you were
5.
a child.
Yeah, I was about 5 or 6.
I'm talking about when you were a child.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not talking about. I was inconsolable actually when I was a child. There was a movie. There was a cartoon. Feature-length film made of 1984.
1984?
Oh, sorry, not 1984, Animal Farm.
Animal Farm, yeah, right.
I don't know if you remember seeing that.
I don't, but I mean, I like Animal Farm a lot.
When they took the horse off to the glue factory.
That's terrible.
I couldn't stop crying for days.
Yeah, really?
It was awful.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
but I'm talking about when you grow up, because the study, it was done in Holland, actually, and one of the films is Marley and Me, which I don't know whether you've seen.
Oh, that's the
Jennifer
dog.
Aniston.
The dog?
About a Labrador, yeah.
Yeah, what happens to it in the end?
Yeah. Which, what?
Do they have to put the dog down in the end?
Well, yeah, the dog dies in the end. Yeah,
it's
really sad. Yeah, that's quite a sad film.
What happens
well,
to the dog?
its stomach gets all kind of twisted around, and they take it to the vet, and they fix it one time. I'm sorry, I'm giving away the end of the film.
That's right,
Look, what have you done? What have you done to me?
Yeah.
Anyway. You've just said that the dog died.
Because I haven't seen it, no.
Well, people haven't seen it now know that the dog dies.
Well, it's not worth me going to see now. You've told me the ending. So,
you asked me what happened.
Well, you shouldn't have told me. You've ruined it
I
for
should have
me.
said I'm not telling you.
Yeah, exactly.
So next time I ask you at Porky Vision, how does it end? You'll say I'm not telling you.
But Porky Vision is there to review programmes. No, I can never...
I find it astonishing that as an adult you've never cried at a film.
I swear to you, I'm
all
not
right, All right, well, what's the saddest film you've ever seen?
I'm not trying to make out that I'm a hard man and I've got no emotions and, I can take it, I'm tough. I can never remember crying as an adult at a film. And if you say, what's the saddest film I've ever seen?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Really?
I don't remember being affected as being sad after watching. I don't like sad films anyway, so maybe I wouldn't go and watch it. Right. In fact, I heard you talking last night after I left here that you wouldn't go and watch, Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's right.
And I agree with you. I don't want to go and see it. I mean,
that to me was the beginning of that particular genre of horror films that was just so brutal. And bloody.
There was one.
That I didn't want to see them.
There was one, and I read the review in the Sunday Express about it, and it said at one point a child's fingers went flying in the air when the horrible killer was using a pair of garden shears to kill his victims. Right. And I thought, you think I'm going to watch that?
Yeah.
You must be joking.
And also, how frightening would it be?
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking earlier about how you don't like to worry about what you're actually dreaming about. But how frightening would it be that every time you went to sleep, you started dreaming that someone was trying to kill you?
Yeah, exactly. Something like that.
When you woke up, actually, they were trying to kill you.
Well, no, don't be silly. That would be real life.
Well, that was what the whole Nightmare on Elm Street thing was about.
Oh, well, I don't know, because I never went to see it. I thought you didn't. I thought you didn't know what it was about.
Well, no, I know what things are about without having to see them.
Yeah, well, I don't. Now,
that's how you do Porky Vision.
These sad films, OK, so Marley's about a dog. What about...
Marley and Me.
What about human beings making you cry in films, then? Can you remember one?
Well, I've just told you The Deer Hunter.
Yeah, but I don't get that, you see.
I usually cry at Casablanca, actually, as well, but it depends how much I've had to drink.
Casablanca.
Casablanca is a very romantic film.
It is a romantic film, and
when Humphrey Bogart tells...
It's the last scene on the runway, where the plane...
Yeah, exactly,
right,
Casablanca, when they fly off to Lisbon.
Yeah. I actually sometimes get quite emotional about war films and young men going to war and losing their lives.
Okay, well, that can be... What about... Saving Private Ryan, have you seen that?
Yes, I have. But
Did that make you cry?
No.
That didn't make me cry.
No, it didn't make me cry. It didn't make me cry. In fact, it was
horrific. How about The Great Escape?
No, that didn't make me cry. No, definitely not.
Well,
no.
which one did then? Which one made you emotional?
Usually, if it's something to do with Spitfire pilots, who at the age of 19 or 20 are so selfless and regard defending their country as their duty and don't even start thinking about whether they're going to die.
So, what, like the Battle of Britain?
Battle of Britain, yeah, maybe.
Reach for the Sky,
maybe.
Dam Busters. They're all a bit old.
Dam Busters.
They're not particularly emotional films.
No, not particularly emotional.
They're more about sort of, stiff upper lip British people.
Yeah. What was the one that I thought, actually, I'd tell you what was very emotional, was, in Godfather 2, when the bloke was told that he'd have to commit suicide or they'd do his family in. So he went and sat in the bath and slashed his wrists.
Yeah. The guy that was meant to be giving evidence to the Senate committee.
Was that it? Yeah. See, I thought that was quite emotional. Yeah, well, I thought, this poor guy's got no choice now. He's got to do it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, but that wasn't... I mean, he was a criminal, career criminal.
The other one I remember...
feel sorry for him.
The other one I remember was Bugsy, because he got shot, didn't he, in his lounge in the end. Yeah.
Was that the one with Phil Collins?
No, you idiot. It was the one about the guy who built Las Vegas. And it was...
was that not a musical, Bugsy?
No.
Well, who was in it then?
The LA's greatest ever Rogerizer. You know what I'm talking about.
Who?
I don't
know, Burt Reynolds?
Shirley MacLaine's brother.
Oh, Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty.
Was that the one he was in with Madonna?
No, definitely not Madonna, no. But he was Bugsy...
Bugsy Siegel.
Bugsy Siegel, and it was called Bugsy, the film,
I must have seen it, but I didn't think it was particularly sad.
Well, I didn't think it was particularly sad. I can't think of a sad film.
This study has said,
I can't think of a film that made me feel sad.
Well, that's extraordinary.
I suppose it is a bit. I never saw a love story, though.
What they've said is, right...
Where do I begin?
Yeah, you don't want to sing that.
To tell a story.
That would make me weep if you start singing that. Apparently, when they did this study, right, they found that people who didn't cry during the films, basically, they measured their moods before and after the film.
Right.
Before the film and after the film, they were exactly the same. Absolutely no different.
Okay.
Whereas the people who did cry were initially much more miserable after the film than they were before the film.
Yes.
But about an hour after that, they were much happier than they were before the film. So what they're basically saying is if you weep and cry at an event like a movie...
You get it all out of your system.
It actually makes you feel better in the long term.
Oh, no, I can't see that.
What about at sporting events? I mean, have you ever wept at a football match?
Not really.
No? Because people do, don't they? I mean, you always see towards the end of the season when teams are getting relegated and things are going badly wrong, people are crying.
But you see, the thing is, my team had never been relegated in my life, and that's the worst possible thing a fan can see. See his team going down.
You think you would cry?
I have to admit, the closest I came to that was in 1968, when Everton lost to West Brom 1-0, and I thought it was a travesty of justice because we were the better team. No, I'm not being rude to West Brom fans. They would say that they were... Excuse me, when they won, and Jeff Hassel scored the only goal. But I remember I was... How old was I in 68? I was sort of 12, 13. And... I felt that terribly badly. I really did. I remember thinking, there's something's gone wrong here. They're going to replay this because that's not the right result and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just trying to rack my brains to think of a film that made me emotional.
Well, you obviously can't think of one.
I think in the middle of Top Gun, it's quite sad when the navigator dies.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an awful film.
No, it's a great film. Great film. I think that's quite sad. I really do.
I don't know it well enough to remember that bit.
Yeah, well, the plane spins out of control and they both eject. And sometimes when you eject, you die because the G-forces and you hit your head on the cockpit or something like that.
So the parachute doesn't open.
Yeah, and that happened to his mate. So that was quite sad. But I can't think of another film that made me feel sad, to be honest. I don't know why. Just trying to think. Maybe some cowboy film, where some guy got... badly, horribly tortured by the Indians or something like that.
Well, the guy had his feet burned off.
Yeah, his feet burnt off, something like that. Well, actually, that was one, wasn't it? In Last of the Mohicans, the really nasty, horrible, brutal British soldier, in the end, did the other guy a favour by shooting him when he was about to be burnt by the old Apaches, didn't he?
Oh,
no, they were Comanches actually. Comanches.
Yeah, I didn't really watch the
it was up
all the way through. It was too long.
It was in Connecticut.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Now we'll finish up with a couple of tweets and texts because here's one from Hammy, who's on the milk round in urban Stockport, and he says, "I just wanted to let you know I've come across about 5 badgers in the last 2 hours."
What, really?
In Stockport.
Where's this?
In
Stockport?
urban Stockport on a milk round.
Well, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think I've got a badger in my garden. That is amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
It is absolutely amazing.
And here's one from MCFC Tony. He says, "The end of the Shawshank Redemption when Morgan Freeman makes it to Mexico gets me every time."
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. But hang on, Morgan Freeman's not the guy who escapes.
Yeah, he gets out as well, though, doesn't he? He goes and joins the guy who escapes.
Yeah, but he's free, doesn't he, in the end? But it's the guy who escapes who you feel most sorry for in case he gets recaptured.
Well,
I tell you what, I think that's quite sad in Papillon.
Yeah.
I think it's quite sad in Papillon when Steve McQueen thinks he can trust the nuns in the nunnery, and then they shop him down the river and he gets carted off back to do another 5-year stretch in solitary, in darkness.
Right.
That's quite sad.
There you go.
Yeah.
We finally found one.
Yeah.
Marvellous. Thank you very much indeed. Porky Vision coming up tomorrow night, and then the quiz of the week on Thursday night will be on Mexico, where I've just been on holiday.
Mexico!
Not sure if I mentioned that at all.
Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the two mics.